Antiwar.com, the average price of Bitcoin is $577. Antiwar.com reports the Islamic State forces launched multiple attacks against military targets in several contested areas around the outskirts of the capital city in Syria's eastern Deir ez-Zor province, sparking major battles. Syrian state media reported 150 the Islamic State fighters killed in Friday's fighting, and the Islamic State forces foiled. They did not indicate how many other troops were killed. Deir ez-Zor province is considered hugely valuable as one of Syria's largest oil-producing provinces. The Islamic State controls the vast majority of the province, though Syria's government retains control of most of the city of Deir ez-Zor and the nearby military airfield. The Islamic State has launched repeated offensives trying to gain more territory in recent months, mostly to little effect, but this is the second major push they've made in the past few days, with a Tuesday attack on the town of Jinanai sparking a battle that left 60 killed and an unknown number wounded. Details are scant on both of these incidents, with Syrian officials emphasizing the large Islamic State death toll, but not offering particulars about where the fighting was taking place. At any rate, they underscore the continued interest of the Islamic State forces in gaining more of the province and shoring up their hold on territory along the Iraq-Syria border. You can support FPP Radio by joining the Fans program. Fans are friends, allies, and numerous supporters. Fans help FPP afford to produce more original content. You can join the Fans program for as little as $3 per month through Patreon and get perks like ad-free versions of FPP Radio News and Peace, Love, Liberty Radio. To learn more or to join the Fans program, visit fans.fppradio.com. UPI reports as uncertainty permeates the Republican Party with nearly 3 months until Election Day. Donald Trump is being asked by some members of his own party to do something unheard of in American politics: drop out of the race after taking the nomination this far in. According to a report in Politico on Friday, a number of key Republicans polled in multiple battleground states want the New York businessman to quit his White House bid now so the GOP has as much time as possible to find a viable replacement. The report cited data gathered by the Politico caucus, a panel of activists, strategists, and analysts in nearly a dozen swing states. They claimed 70% of party insiders in those states want Trump gone, and the sooner the better. Claims of such widespread party opposition to Trump follow what's arguably been two of the most tumultuous weeks in his campaign, days that saw the outspoken Republican almost universally panned for criticism he directed at American Muslim military parents who appeared at the Democratic National Convention last month. While there has been no indication whatsoever from Trump that he would seriously consider leaving the race this late, that's apparently not stopping some party members from making known their desire for a new candidate. For nearly 40 years, Robertson Roberts Brokerage has been a trusted source for buying and selling precious metals like gold and silver. They also take Bitcoin for precious metal purchases and have permanently removed the minimum purchase amount for all orders paid in the digital currency. Call Robertson Roberts today for knowledgeable advice on buying and selling precious metals and a forward-thinking approach to new technologies. 800-874-9760 or visit online at rrbi.co. Reuters reports a former FBI agent was sentenced on Friday to 2 years of probation for lying repeatedly at the 2013 murder and racketeering trial of Boston mobster Whitey Bulger. U.S. District Judge Dennis Saylor said at the former FBI agent's sentencing hearing in Boston that Robert Fitzpatrick would receive leniency because of his age and failing health. Fitzpatrick benefited from a plea agreement without which he would face a maximum sentence of more than 7 years in prison. Fitzpatrick, who served in the FBI from 1965 to 1986, lied to help Bulger's defense and to inflate his own accomplishments while serving as a special agent, according to prosecutors. His testimony included boasts that he found the rifle that was used to assassinate civil rights activist Martin Luther King Jr. in 1968, and that he had later been sent to Boston on a special assignment to clean up major problems there. In May, he pled guilty to 12 criminal counts of perjury and obstruction of justice during Bulger's high-profile trial in Boston. Prosecutors say Fitzpatrick had falsely presented himself as a whistleblower who tried to end the FBI's corrupt relationship with Bulger. This has been FPP Radio News, online at fppradio.com.
This is the Onion Week in Review. In local news, a succession of terrible events failed to befall a 33-year-old riding a longboard to his digital media job Monday. Shocked bystanders helplessly watched as media developer Jake Reston skated safely through Manhattan traffic without flipping over on his obnoxiously oversized skateboard and smashing his stupid face into the pavement, with many saying they were horrified at the sight of the floppy-haired little shit walking into his office unscathed.
It was one of the most horrible things I've ever seen. He wasn't even hit by a car. I was just praying that someone would step in and throw him off the stupid little skateboard and punch him right in the mouth.
In other news, a study finds owning a cool leather jacket is more rewarding than raising a child. A community garden sprouts the first condom wrapper of spring, and a little turtle gorges on an entire raspberry.
Tonight in the cabin, schoolmarm's telling about how they talk about corpulation down the school. Only a fool needs telling how to screw. Just let the pecker guide you. But come on, listen anyhow.
This is the Onion News Network.
Free Talk Live.
This is Free Talk Live, and it's the live Saturday edition of the program. Here tonight with you, it's Ian.
And Darryl.
There's a meth dealing mayor that we'll be talking about coming up here in moments. And
I didn't do it.
Nope, not me either. I've not been a meth dealer nor a mayor. But Fairfax, Virginia, that mayor, Richard Scott Silverthorne, was arrested Thursday at the Crowne Plaza Hotel in Tyson's Corner. Why? Well, because he allegedly gave methamphetamine to an undercover detective in exchange for a sexual encounter. And this kind of harkens back to the story of that guy, was Rob Ford in Toronto. Remember that one?
See, when I think of mayors near the D.C. area, I automatically think Marion Barry.
That's an old story, though, right? That's like a few decades old.
That's from like the 80s or 90s.
Yeah, this
and then Whitney Houston around the same time was asked a question about crack, and she said, "Crack is whack." Not I don't do it.
Right.
Just crack is whack. Well, okay, you could think that crack is whack and still smoke it all the time.
That's true. And so Rob Ford, if you may recall, was the mayor of Toronto who was busted for, well, not really busted initially, but caught on video smoking crack cocaine with people. And that was just a few years ago, maybe like 4 years ago or something like that.
Probably.
Didn't he die?
He did pass away recently. I don't remember if he lost a re-election bid or if he stepped down, but then he ran for city council. And he was serving on the city council after this incident.
Right.
When he passed away, he was city councilor.
So we'll go to your calls and thoughts. You can dial in toll-free here, 855-450-FREE. We'll tell you more about the meth-dealing mayor here in moments, and your calls are welcome about anything. Also, we've got Skype at Skype username LRN.FM. Let's go to Parker. He's in Wenatchee, Washington, listening online. Hey, Parker.
Hey, guys. What's going on?
Hey, what's on your mind tonight?
Well, I've been listening to LRN for a long time, probably about maybe a few months now, like 3 or 4 months now. And I was kind of wondering, what other radio networks do you know of that puts out the kind of content that you guys at LRN put out?
Okay, so you're referring to LRN, which is the Liberty Radio Network. It is a little network that you and I program, Darryl.
Yes.
That's based here in Keene, New Hampshire. It's got dozens of liberty-oriented podcasts on it. It has nearly a dozen live shows that are produced throughout the week at various different times. There are some other libertarian radio networks out there. There are also a bunch of kook networks, and so there's.
Yes.
The kook networks, the conspiracy networks, are far more popular. If you actually look at the other libertarian networks, and off the top of my head,
I can think of two off the top of my head.
Okay.
Freedom Phalanx
Radio
Radio
that was
Network.
The one I was thinking of.
I believe they actually carry this show.
This show?
I believe
really?
so.
Okay.
And then there's also Liberty Talk FM. That started out originally as Ron Paul Radio, and then it's gone through a couple
rebranded
of
a bunch of
rebrandings over the past couple of years. And there's actually somebody that's looking to start a new one on the seacoast of New Hampshire with a slightly different sort of focus than what LRN does.
So a question for you guys would be, because I've tried to get like my parents or my family to listen to LRN.FM. I keep on telling them, hey, there's this great radio network that you should listen to. It's all about libertarianism. You should check it out. How would you try and get a person who's like a statist or someone who is maybe borderline libertarian or non-libertarian to listen to the LRN, to the Liberty Radio Network? How would you convince them that it's in their best interest to listen to this kind of content?
That is a tough question, and I could not tell you the answer to it. I mean, if they already like talk radio, you might be able to get them to sample it. If they're not already a talk radio listener, then it will be very hard to get someone to move, I think, from, say, music listening to talk listening, especially if it's on topics they're not familiar with or interested in.
And one way you could do it is if you're, hanging out with them, be like, oh, there's a show that I like that's on right now. Can we listen to it? And then you start listening to the program with them in the room.
That would be a way to go about it. You could also broadcast LRN.FM on FM radio or AM radio in your local area. And, of course, the FCC doesn't generally like that. But you can do it, and it's relatively affordable, and then you'll be reaching all kinds of status, not just your friends, but people in the general surrounding area. And there are specific instructions and equipment recommendations, I believe, over at station.lrn.fm. So if you go there,
and this has to do with AMP and fans, right? Like advertising, marketing, and promoting, which is one thing. I think that might be affiliated with you or another. And then there's fans, which is I forget.
Friends and numerous supporters. Okay, so you're talking about the AMP program, which is for Free Talk Live at amp.freetalklive.com. That's a way to get behind our show for $5 a month and get some perks.
Right, and then the
yours...
fans program is what I have that I totally ripped off the AMP program. And
we were ripping off the Twit network, I believe it was, This Week in Tech.
But Darryl, I mean, can you really rip off your own thing?
No, it's just borrowing ideas. I mean, rip off is a nasty way of saying borrowing a good idea from somebody else. Parker, thanks for the call tonight. Good luck out there. I appreciate it. Toll-free number is 855-450-FREE. Unfortunately,
And then, speaking of can you rip off your own idea, well, there was the federal lawsuit of John Fogerty v. John Fogerty, where it was ruled that John Fogerty wrote a song that sounded too much like a song that John Fogerty had written, and then John Fogerty had to pay John Fogerty $10 million.
Well, I can't say I've heard of that one. That's an interesting
story. What it was, he had signed with a different record label than what owned the previous stuff that he did when he was a member of a band. And he wrote a song that sounded too much like something that he had written with the band. And so it was basically one record label suing the other record label.
Okay, so it wasn't actually
on
John
behalf of. It wasn't actually John Fogerty suing John Fogerty.
Okay.
But the lawsuit was Fogerty v. Fogerty.
Okay, so it was.
Yes, because they were suing on his behalf against the record label on his behalf.
That's insane.
Yes.
Oh, copyright. So toll-free number tonight, if you want to join us, is 855-450-FREE. Unfortunately, the libertarian perspective just isn't in demand in the United States, and that's why we're kind of a niche. And so it's interesting I think for people to listen to what we do, and we've managed to have some level of success here on Free Talk Live with over 170 radio stations picking up the show at various different times throughout the week across the United States. I mean, that's definitely a success. There's no doubt about it. The only other show out there that's on the radio, broadcast radio, that's like ours is the Freedom Fiends, and they've got maybe 30-something affiliates nationwide. Besides that, there really isn't much out there in syndicated radio that is of a liberty-minded perspective, which is why I suggested, if you can get us on broadcast radio, if you can get just Free Talk Live on, that's great. You can always call your local talk station and ask for us. But if you really want to take matters into your own hands, running your own radio station is a relatively affordable thing to do. I think it's really good activism.
And when you say affordable, you're talking a couple $100?
You could get some cheap broadcast equipment for a couple $100. If you put in a couple $1,000, then you'll get some really nice equipment. So, I mean, if you think about the amount of money that you would spend just applying for a broadcast license from the FCC, that's, just a fraction.
Oh, that's probably tens of thousands, if not hundreds.
So, go to lrn.fm, and then there's a broadcast menu up there that'll give you more information about that. Let's go to Mark. He's in Indianapolis listening to WIBC. You're on Free Talk Live. Hello, Mark.
Yeah, hey, first, before I jump in to help that guy out that's trying to convince his parents to listen to the station, I'd like to do a shout-out to Adama. Hey, Adama, how you doing? It's Marco.
We don't do shout-outs.
Polo.
Oh, okay. Don't. He didn't hear it then. Ignore that. Strike it. Okay. You still there?
Yeah, we're just waiting on you to talk about something.
Oh, Okay.
We got all night.
You hung up on me. Okay. Well, yeah, it's free, right? So I can just keep going and going.
No,
all
you
right.
don't.
All right.
You don't get that.
Okay. All right. Okay, we won't. I'll just make it quick now. Get right to the point.
Yeah, that would be preferred.
He can rent his parents, or he could, like the government does for us anyhow with health care. We're threatened to get health care, so this should be fall in the same line.
Both of those
and
are
then
absolutely horrible ideas.
Okay, or he can force them to do it. And what I would recommend is he goes to his local hardware store, get a few feet of rope, maybe a couple handcuffs.
That would not be a particularly
Also a
good
horrible
way
idea.
to introduce anyone to libertarianism. Thank you, Mark. It's Free Talk Live.
If you're considering going back to school, ask yourself the following questions. Do you need the flexibility to take classes on your schedule? Do you have college credits you need transferred? Do you want to earn a quality degree from a world-renowned university? If you answered yes to any of these questions, Arizona State University is the perfect school for you. Arizona State University offers over 100 highly ranked degree programs 100% online. You'll earn the same degree as you would on campus, from wherever you are, on your schedule. Plus, ASU Online accepts most transfer credits. For information, call 1-800-958-5345. Learn for yourself why the Wall Street Journal ranks ASU 5th in the nation for producing the best qualified graduates, and why 90% of ASU grads are recruited within 90 days of graduation. Learn to grow, learn to succeed, and learn to thrive at Arizona State University. To learn more about ASU online degrees, call 1-800-958-5345. That's 1-800-958-5345.
Paid non-attorney spokesperson. Injury Help Desk is responsible for this advertisement. Principal office, Las Vegas, Nevada. This ad is not legal advice, and the choice of a lawyer should not be based solely upon advertisement. Services may not be available in all states. Attention prescription antibiotic drug users. Have you or a loved one suffered an aortic dissection, aortic aneurysm, or abdominal aortic aneurysm after taking the prescription antibiotic drugs Levaquin or Avelox? These popular antibiotic drugs have been prescribed more than 80 million times since 2004, and medical studies show an increased risk of the following injuries: aortic dissection, aortic aneurysm, and abdominal aortic aneurysm. If you or a loved one used the prescription antibiotic drugs Levaquin or Avelox and suffered from aortic dissection, aortic aneurysm, or abdominal aortic aneurysm, you may be entitled to substantial financial compensation. Act now. Time is limited to file a claim. You may be entitled to substantial financial compensation. For a free consultation and free information, call Injury Help Desk at 800-823-3851. 800-823-3851. 800-823-3851.
Every once in a while, you get information that's worth changing your life for. This is one such time. You can save up to and beyond 25% on all purchases at Amazon. You probably heard of Bitcoin and just not thought much about it. You certainly know that you can get competitive pricing at Amazon, but now you can get a 25% discount on nearly everything you need to live. I've just given you a huge raise, and all you have to do is claim it. You go to saveitpurse.com and open an account. Do this right now. Don't wait. Then you fund the account with Bitcoin. I know this sounds unbelievable, but at my house, we saved as much as 45% off of a new item on Amazon. This information is worth you changing the way you do things. Go to saveitpurse.com right now, get signed up, and cash in on the huge raise I'm offering you. 15 to 25% off of everything at Amazon through saveitpurse.com. It's saveatpurse.com. The three most important things you can do for Free Talk Live are: 1, share one episode a week on Facebook or in some other social networking site. 2, buy the things you buy online through shop.freetalklive.com. 3, give $5 a month to the AMP program. It's my firm belief that Free Talk Live's AMP program is the best use of your charitable dollar among liberty-oriented organizations. Support all the organizations you love, but make sure you give $5 a month to AMP at amp.freetalklive.com.
In Survivor Max 2, School Bites, Max must scavenge through a wasteland swarming with the undead. Desperate to find the medicine he needs, he discovers a community of survivors at his former school. Has he finally found the safe haven he's been looking for, or will he discover that school bites? Look for Survivor Max on Facebook, read reviews on Amazon, and read Chapter 1 at survivormax.com.
If you enjoy LRN.FM, please contribute to your favorite shows via their websites and become an amplifier at amp.lrn.fm. That's amp.lrn.fm.
Yeah!
This is Free Talk Live. We've got toll-free numbers and a Skype. You can call in at 855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-3733. And you can bring up whatever is on your mind. You don't have to talk about the meth-dealing mayor out of Fairfax, Virginia, which we barely scratched the surface of here so far tonight. Also, Skype username is LRN.FM. Joining you in studio, it's Ian.
And Darryl.
On this live Saturday edition of the program, the mayor of the city of Fairfax, according to NBCWashington.com, has been arrested after he allegedly gave methamphetamine to an undercover detective in exchange for a sexual encounter. We'll tell you more about him in moments. First, Ted is on the line in Greenfield, Indiana, listening to WIBC. Go ahead, Ted. You're on Free Talk Live.
Yeah, my question was, I've heard and read a lot of different things about the Libertarian Party, so I wanted to get it straight from the horse's mouth. So what are your guys' core values, and how would they mesh up with somebody like me that is extremely conservative to the point of being a nationalist?
Well, that's an interesting question. I'm going to have you handle this one, Darryl, as someone who actually ran for the presidential nomination of the Libertarian Party. Sadly, you did not receive it. The Libertarian Party instead went with a non-libertarian as their presidential nominee. So be very careful. Just want to put the warning out there to listeners. When you hear the Libertarian presidential candidate speaking, be warned, that man does not understand the principles of liberty, but Darryl does. So why don't you go ahead and take a crack at it and tie in, as he said, to a conservative, because libertarianism can appeal to all kinds of people.
Right, and there are some people, such as the presidential nominee, who wants to try to say that libertarians are fiscal conservatives who happen to be socially liberal. And that, while, yes, people that abide by libertarian philosophy tend to be fiscally conservative and socially liberal, but that's the end result of, the philosophy. The philosophy is underpinned, or the underpinning of the philosophy is that nobody has a right to initiate force against another human being for political or social means. So that means I cannot come over to your house and take your stuff because I can do better things with it. I also can't decide that, you know what, I'm going to go get the big guy with lots of guns down the street to come over to your house and take your stuff because we can do better things with it. You also don't have the right to come take my stuff for the same reasons. So that then basically it winds up being more a live and let live sort of attitude, but it's based on that grounding philosophy that nobody has a right to initiate force. So you're asking, how would I appeal to a nationalist? And I personally would not try to appeal to a nationalist to try to get them to accept libertarianism unless that person is willing to wind up changing some of the beliefs that they have.
Well, now, hold on. Before I understand where you're coming from, Darryl, but I guess I'd like Ted to define what a nationalist first is, because if we don't have our terms correct, we're not communicating appropriately. So go ahead, Ted. What does it mean to be a nationalist to you?
To me, that the global economy does not come first, that America comes first. Our nation is numero uno on priority list.
See, and now a libertarian would be someone. A libertarian would be someone who believes that the individual comes first, meaning that you as an individual would be able to decide with whom you do business anywhere in the world or down the street from you, whatever is most profitable for you, or whatever your values are in how you make a decision on what to buy or what to sell, and what kind of business to do. That should be up to you, not up to some set of bureaucrats at the town or state or federal level. Or at the global level. So I don't think that, if you want to have your own little nation, if you want to have, a group of people who agree with your concepts come together and not force your way on others, that's okay with me. But the problem with nationalism, as it typically occurs, is the nationalists will use the force of the state to promote their interests, whatever it is that they think is important. They will use the threat of violence against peaceful people. So if I want to trade with somebody in Iran, for instance, the federal government will point guns at me and possibly throw me into a cage over that. And I say that's not okay. What do you think, Ted?
No, I don't think it is either. But I'm not talking about using violence. I'm referring to, for example, companies that do business here and want to have all the benefits of doing business here, but don't want to do the business here. If that makes any sense.
That does not make any sense at all. Are you talking about Burger King?
No, I've nothing about Burger King.
Okay, because I know a lot of people got upset when Burger King moved their headquarters to Canada to try to avoid some tax that people are often told, if you don't like the taxes, then leave. And so they left, and then people were saying, but they can't leave to avoid taxes.
No, and to some degree, I mean, I'm kind of torn on that. I can see when you do things like that, it is damaging to the American economy. But overtaxation is damning to us also.
Well, right. So if you want America to be the best place in the whole world, and arguably right now it is not on the charts of economic freedom, it is in the 15 to 20 range instead of where you would think it would be, which would be the top of the charts. It's not. Hong Kong, Singapore, other countries are besting it on a regular basis. If you want America to truly be an exceptional place, then it should be the most free place, because the most freedom equals the most, the healthiest economy, the most wealth. And while the U.S. is a very wealthy nation, it is sort of floating on some of its earlier successes where it was less regulated and less taxed in the past. So ultimately, having more freedom will get you that stronger economy that you're looking for. But the problem is a lot of the nationalists believe that they need to use the force of the state for protectionist means, where they will punish, with the threat of violence, other people for doing business in ways they don't want them to.
No, I wouldn't even dream of using force to do it. I mean, I would consider economic sanctions against companies that want to move their workforce over to Mexico. So
what does that mean, an economic sanction? What does that mean?
Basically tax the living shit out of
Oh, you can't say that on the radio. We've got to let you go, dude. I'm sorry about that.
Taxation is force, because somebody has to wind up. If I don't willfully hand over my money, then somebody will show up and forcefully take the money from me. So, yes, taxation is force. Economic sanctions are force. You don't get to say that it's not force, because the first step isn't throw somebody in a cage or shoot them with a gun.
Right, because every government program, every government tax regulation is always backed by the threat of force. That's what makes the government different, is it's the monopoly on violence. And it's very good at sort of precluding people.
It's not just a monopoly on violence, it's a monopoly on the initiation of violence.
Well, right, that's true.
Because you can use violence in defense.
True, that's true. So toll-free number tonight, 855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-3733. The principles of liberty, we can talk about those. We're pretty good at that. Also, you can bring up anything you want to discuss as well. And take control of the airwaves here on the live Saturday edition. We'll talk about a meth-dealing mayor coming up when we get a chance, but your calls come first. 855-450-FREE.
The final phase of extermination is set to commence now. And as population die-off becomes evident, you know it is the time of punishment in all that is written. The cover for mass die-off is evolution and global warming frauds, also used as false proof of their Christ. They are from the lines that were disinherited 2,000 years ago. Now they claim to be his Christ based upon blood type, DNA, and long lifespan. Go to unveilingthem.com. That's UNVEILING them.com.
Hunters, anglers, campers, and survivalists. Get back to nature. Expand your horizons with the highest quality, most versatile, unique slingshots and sling bows on the market at slingbow.com. Slingbow products are compact and models start from just $17.98. They're perfect for your bug-out bag or storing in your vehicle. Give yourself and your loved ones the excitement and tradition of slingbow. A new frontier in archery and truly modern twist on this primitive survival tool. Feel the thrill only at slingbow.com.
Money, power, and respect are all yours at CreditSuccessSecretsRevealed.com. Be seen as an industry leader. You can do it. The last application you filled out when it was time to hit submit did your nerves spike. You didn't get the approval you seek, but there's a better way. We teach you exactly what to place into the right systems the right way the first time so you get approved. Get up to $100,000 in instant business credit. Many people will get cash on the spot. Use those two tools in your new corporate credit engine so you can walk into the bank and get your project funded today. It's all about today at CreditSuccessSecretsRevealed.com. Credit Success Secrets Revealed is explosive and ignites instant results. Dial 1-800-707-8719. That's 1-800-707-8719. 1-800-707-8719. Or just go to CreditSuccessSecretsRevealed.com.
Arcade City is a ride-sharing app built by drivers, not a mega corporation. As a driver with Arcade City, you can keep all of what you earn. Sign up now to drive for or ride with Arcade City at arcade.freetalklive.com. Arcade City is connecting drivers directly with riders and has been making headlines for disrupting the ride-sharing industry. Sign up now at arcade.freetalklive.com. That's arcade.freetalklive.com. Did you know you can watch Free Talk Live during our live show 7 days a week from 7 to 10 p.m. Eastern via our studio cams at cam.freetalklive.com? Plus, you can chat with other listeners while you watch, all totally free. Now that our live video stream is hosted by YouTube, our video archives will be online even faster, so be sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel. Listen, watch, and chat all free at cam.freetalklive.com. That's cam.freetalklive.com.
Understanding your credit score is the first step towards managing and improving it. This is Charlie Sundstrom with your Van Dyke Mortgage Minute. The most influential component of your credit score is your payment history. Almost equally as important is the amount you owe on credit accounts. Also impacting your score, but to a lesser degree, are the length of time you've utilized your credit, the number of new accounts, credit inquiries, and your various types of credit accounts. To help achieve or maintain a healthy credit score, have a system set up to assure your bills are always paid on time. Don't max out your cards. It's better to have a high credit limit with a low balance. Never close old accounts. The age of these can actually help your credit score. But don't be afraid to use your credit. You need several accounts in order to have a credit score. Just keep the corresponding payments within your means. For your mortgage pre-approval and refi needs, start by visiting VanDykeMortgage.com.
Corporate NMLS 3035. Van Dyke Mortgage is an equal housing lender. Charlie Sundstrom, NMLS 134251.
You're listening to the best liberty-oriented audio streamed around the clock, on the air, and online. This is the Liberty Radio Network at LRN.FM.
This is Free Talk Live. You may dial toll-free and join us here at 855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-3733. We've got Skype. The Skype username is LRN.FM. You know, we've been talking about just the ideas of liberty in general here in response to a couple of the calls that have come in. And one of the things that liberty-minded people are doing in the last couple of decades that's pretty exciting is gathering together in geographic areas to increase our influence. And one of the most noteworthy, probably the most noteworthy, is the Free State Project and the Shire Society, people coming to New Hampshire. But one of the other players out there is the Liberland Project. It's a European micronation that has recently had recognition proposed by 7 Polish legislators. So what they're trying to do is establish this tiny little plot of land that is in between Serbia and Croatia. It's like 3 square miles, I believe it is, or 7 square miles, or somewhere in that range. Very, very small. And so what they're trying to do is get that recognition happening from other nations. It's their top priority, and really it's a matter of just keeping their name in the news. The Chicago Journal of International Law has released a 35-page essay making a case for statehood for Liberland. Roger Ver, who is a friend of the show and owner of Bitcoin.com, has stated his financial support for Liberland, and Liberland has pointed out that the base of their economy is going to be Bitcoin. Nearly 500,000 people have registered on their website, with more than 100,000 requesting citizenship. But Liberland is a small place, so to qualify for citizenship, you've got to substantially contribute to the growth of Liberland. So to learn more, go to liberland.org, Liberland, LRN.org. It's
2.7 square miles.
Thank
so
you.
Just
7
under 3
kilometers or whatever. You can join us here. 855-450-FREE, 855-450-3733. Skype username is LRN.FM. Still to come here, we're going to talk about the mayor of Fairfax, Virginia, or I should say the former mayor. They have an interim mayor in his place at the moment because the mayor was arrested recently in a meth for sex bust. We'll tell you more about it. But first, Sean's on the line in New Jersey, listening to WOBM. Hey, Sean.
How you doing?
Hey, welcome. You're on Free Talk Live. Go ahead, sir.
Yeah, I was been listening to you guys for, I don't know, 3 or 4 weeks, and I understand everything you're saying, but I'm just trying to figure out how is this going to be accomplished in terms of, like, there's a lot of people. I think it's great that everybody should leave everybody alone, let them do what they want, but how do you enforce that? Like, how do we defend ourselves from people that don't want that?
Well, generally, you can defend yourself with self-defense mechanisms, like training yourself with physical hand-to-hand combat, or using some sort of tool. You can also hire people to protect you and insure you from harm as well. So you can have both protection service, like the police, or as some sort of insurance company as well. And who knows really what the marketplace will come up with. Because what we're talking about here is just basically ending coercion. That doesn't mean the police would have to go away or some sort of protection service like the police. I think people want to feel like there's men with guns that they can call if they need to, who will protect them as best they can or investigate.
We've covered stories on this show before about neighborhoods that they're not getting the quote-unquote service they would expect from the police departments, so they've gone to private security companies. And the private security companies make regular patrols through the neighborhoods, and those neighborhoods wind up being a lot safer than they were beforehand, or any of the surrounding neighborhoods that are not being patrolled.
Check out the Threat Defense Center. It is one of the most successful, I think, examples of what you're talking about, Darryl, where they've taken over in Detroit for a lot of people, protecting them and doing a much better job than the police are. In fact, some of the police departments in Detroit have basically shut down their offices or are only answering calls between certain hours. And so Threat Defense Center has really come in there and done some amazing work. Go ahead.
I wasn't talking about locally as much as nationally.
Are you talking about the fear of invasion or something like that?
Well, a very real fear if there's no defense.
Well, pretty much there's not that much defense right now if you think about it. The U.S. military is spread all around the globe, attacking other places or, just standing there and, guarding those places. There are some military people here, obviously, but generally the thing with the government military is they're first and foremost going to protect their own. They're going to protect their own targets. They're going to protect the government buildings, the military complexes, things like that, over your house and your family and your neighborhood. So having a decentralized method of defense is much more effective, in my opinion, because if there's no centralized targets for this big bad enemy, whoever it is in the world, to attack, then it's going to be a lot harder to take over any given landmass, especially if that landmass is well armed. So if somebody were to try to invade, let's say, New Hampshire, where there are guns everywhere, they're going to have a much more difficult time than, let's say, California, where guns are
Chicago.
Basically prohibited. So, wasn't it, I forget the admiral's name, but wasn't there some, classic World War II quote about why the Japanese didn't want to actually invade the United States because there'd be a gun behind every blade of grass?
Yeah, and that's also part of why Hitler never invaded Switzerland.
Yeah, exactly right. So I would say, the idea, Sean, that the government is out there protecting you is nothing more than BS. I mean, they're your greatest threat. They're the people that are threatening you constantly with jail if you don't do what they say, if you don't pay them what they demand. And other governments around the world aren't doing that to you.
Well, I'm not arguing. I'm not arguing that point. I do agree with you. I'm not. I just wonder. When you talk about, if we all have a gun in our house, that's fine. But I'm talking about, because
You're talking about you want to force people to pay for things that you want to pay for.
No. He hasn't said that. He hasn't said that. He's just uncertain.
Right. I'm not saying that at all.
Right. What I'm hearing from you is you're uncertain about the future. In a world without the state that we propose on this show, there's an uncertain future. Like, what does that look like? That can be scary for people, and that's really what I'm hearing here. If you're talking about, like, okay, sure, if everybody's got guns, that's fine, but what about anti-aircraft missiles and things like that? If that's something that people demand, then the marketplace will provide it. There will be companies who, if there are people like you who say, I'm willing to pay for anti-aircraft missiles to be installed in my area, somebody's going to install those anti-aircraft missiles. But if I, as a peacenik or whatever, don't want to pay for those anti-aircraft missiles, I shouldn't be forced to, right?
Well, in a perfect world, we wouldn't need any of it. But you can go back thousands and thousands.
Sure, but you didn't answer my question. You can have your anti-aircraft missiles if you're willing to pay for them, along with other people who are willing to pay for them, because obviously you probably can't afford one by yourself. But if I don't want to participate in that project, I should be free to opt out of it, right?
Yeah.
All right, cool. We're on board. Welcome to Libertarianism. Thanks for the call tonight, Sean. I appreciate it. The toll-free number here is 855-450-FREE. As long as you aren't willing to force others to pay for the things or programs or whatever that you think is important, then you're a libertarian. You can come up with whatever kind of well, I mean, generally, that's generally true. Unless your program is to go and attack people without warning, then you wouldn't be a libertarian. But as far as like defense is concerned, I think that would be relatively popular. I don't think it would be that hard to raise money for defenses like that, because there are so many people who are afraid of what lurks out there in the rest of the world that they would pony up for that.
Yeah, and the classic example is, well, what about the schools and what about the roads? Well, schools existed just fine before the government started forcing people to attend them and then decided to build these really expensive day prisons.
And that is what they are. Where I was growing up, the elementary school I went to is actually designed by the same architect who designed the prison, so from the outside, they looked very similar. And the insides function similarly, too, in a lot of ways. 855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-3733. You're invited to join us here, and you can bring up what you want on this live Saturday edition of Free Talk Live.
Every once in a while, you get information that's worth changing your life for. This is one such time. You can save up to and beyond 25% on all purchases at Amazon. You probably heard of Bitcoin and just not thought much about it. You certainly know that you can get competitive pricing at Amazon, but now you can get a 25% discount on nearly everything you need to live. I've just given you a huge raise, and all you have to do is claim it. You go to saveitpurse.com and open an account. Do this right now. Don't wait. Then you fund the account with Bitcoin. You can buy them through expresscoin.com with a check or money order. There are other ways to get Bitcoin, but that's fast, safe, and easy. This information is worth you changing the way you do things. Go to saveitpurse.com right now, get signed up, and cash in on the huge raise I'm offering you. 15 to 25% off of everything at Amazon through saveitpurse.com. It's saveatpurse.com.
Are you worried about your mom or dad living alone in their house? Hi, I'm Joan London. Listen, I know how difficult it is to find senior care for someone you love. That's why I recommend a free service called A Place for Mom. They are the nation's largest senior living referral service. Call A Place for Mom today.
To receive free information on senior living communities in your area, call A Place for Mom at 1-800-704-6182.
A Place for Mom offers free one-on-one advice from local advisors and a personalized list of senior living communities you can visit. If you have questions about senior care for your mom or dad, there's a place for answers, A Place for Mom.
Call A Place for Mom in the next 10 minutes to get your free ebook on financing senior care, as well as free information on senior living communities in your area. Call 1-800-704-6182. That's 1-800-704-6182.
The Free State Project has reached its goal of 20,000 liberty lovers who've pledged to move to New Hampshire and get active to achieve liberty in our lifetime. Perhaps you're trying to figure out what part of New Hampshire should be your destination. If so, consider Keene. You'll find more than 150 reasons to move to Keene at move.freekeene.com. Keene is famous for its historic, publicity-generating activism, as well as being the liberty media capital of the world. It's home to freekeene.com, New Hampshire's destination for liberty activism, news, and opinion. For years, we've been compiling over 150 reasons to move to Keene at move.freekeene.com, where you'll learn about some of what's happening here and what makes Keene a great place to live. If you love liberty, you'll probably enjoy anywhere you end up in the Shire. But do your due diligence first. Please visit move.freekeene.com for the full list of over 150 reasons to move to Keene. That's move.freekeene.com. For years, LRN.FM has had a listen line that you can call and listen to LRN.FM anytime. Now we're taking the idea to a new level with the LRN.FM audio on-demand line. You can call 641-793-9660 anytime and listen to LRN.FM's live feed, and you can listen to a bunch of our original shows on demand. Long-distance fees may apply. Just dial 641-793-9660 and choose from the menu 641-793-9660.
I love My Magic Mud. I drink a lot of coffee. I had stains on my teeth. Then I found My Magic Mud, and I was told it would remove stains. So I paid attention when I brushed the first time. My Magic Mud is black tooth powder, and the difference it made in my teeth in one application was noticeable. With 4, my teeth were as white as you normal folks out there. Please go to mymagicmud.com and buy a jar. There's 150 applications for $25. You can use Bitcoin, mymagicmud.com.
While our satellite channel is free to listen to, it's not free for us. You can help us cover our satellite costs with the chip-in on the right side of the page at lrn.fm.
This is Free Talk Live, and you can bring up what you want. Live Saturday edition of the program. With you tonight, you've got Ian.
And Darryl.
We've got Skype. Our Skype username is lrn.fm, so feel free to reach out to us that way. You'll sound almost like you're sitting in the studio with us if you're on Skype. We've also got toll-free lines. For those of you who want to call us the old-fashioned way, you can call up at 855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-3733. Bitcoin.com is your premier source for everything Bitcoin related. Get help buying Bitcoins or choosing a Bitcoin wallet. Read the latest news or even engage with the community on our Bitcoin forum. You can even find places to spend your Bitcoin or play online games with the cryptocurrency. The source for all your Bitcoin needs and news is Bitcoin.com. Great place to go whether you're brand new to Bitcoin or you've been around for a long time. Bitcoin.com as we go to your phone calls and thoughts. We got Hans on the line in Idaho Falls. Hans, you're on Free Talk Live. Go ahead.
Hey, thanks for taking my call.
Welcome.
Hey, I wanted to make a couple of points. First is it seems to me that a lot of the underlying assumptions with the whole libertarian approach that you advocate overlook a lot of the realities of the modern world.
Okay.
For example, if we were to take away the centralized government to the extent that you're talking about, it seems like a lot of the securities and protections for the free market that you advocate would essentially go away and would create a circumstance where that market would not really be possible in a lot of ways. The other kind of underlying fallacy is that having a market-based approach that you talk about really creates a circumstance where the most vulnerable among us, the weakest, the less fortunate, really are the ones that would suffer the most under that type of a circumstance because they wouldn't have the resources, they wouldn't have the means, they wouldn't have the advocacy to be able to advocate for themselves. There are just certain fundamental things that a centralized government provides.
We're not saying that libertarianism would be a utopia and that it would be all sunshine, lollipops, and unicorns. What we are saying is that it is immoral to force people to do things and that force is wrong and governments are founded on force. So therefore, governments by their very nature are immoral.
But further, Darryl, I mean, it's the moral statement is a fine thing to make, and that's obviously the basis of libertarianism. But what he's bringing up is an objection about like the less fortunate. I'm going to address the last part first here.
Right,
and, well, hold on.
I hear the objection all the time, and I just want to say that the objection completely misses the point that we're making, that forcing people to do stuff is immoral. Go ahead with your thought.
Okay, that's fine. But there are people who want to help others, and of course it's wrong to use force, initiated force, to try to help others. I agree with you there, Darryl. But it's also false to believe that the less fortunate would be worse off in a free market. The fact is the less fortunate would be better off in a free marketplace because there wouldn't be a predatory government out there ruining their lives. I don't know about you, but I've sat in courtrooms time and time again. It's kind of a hobby, a very bizarre hobby of mine, to go and record video of my friends when they're in court. And a lot of times I'll just sit there through various different hearings, and it's less fortunate person after less fortunate person, poor person after poor person being run through the mill and being shaken down for hundreds, if not thousands of dollars in fines, thrown into a prison cell when most of the time all they did was have an open container or, bag of marijuana or something like that. These people's lives are made worse by the existence of the state. And further, if the idea is to help people, then not taxing people is a big way to help not only the poor, but also allow the rich to give more to charity and allow more charities to sprout up in the absence of state welfare programs. So it's just false to believe that in the absence of coercion, that people who are less well off will be somehow worse off.
So let me ask you guys a question then. Okay,
sure.
So that assumption, essentially, what you've just described, assumes that without any type of centralized force mechanism or any centralized type of government, that there's not going to be any type of that the market will solve these problems more efficiently than a centralized government.
Absolutely, it would.
What happens then if you take away any type of force of law or any type of mechanism to provide for law? I mean, essentially, you rely on people and their goodwill to or the market itself to justify that law and to enforce that law. And if there's one thing history's taught us, is that if you leave those type of centralized enforcement mechanisms outside of the central law, then cartels or corrupt corporations or other things take advantage of those circumstances, and they prey upon those who are the most weak.
But corporations only exist because of the government. It gives them legal protections. But further, if people want protection, then they're going to hire the honest people to protect them. They're not going to hire dishonest people. The thing is, once you take out the threat of force from the equation, you don't have things like the centralized one-size-fits-all government police who are going to get a paycheck regardless of how they treat people, regardless of how many innocent, peaceful people they put in a prison cell or, extinguish their lives. We've seen the police killing hundreds of innocent people in the United States every year recently, and there's no way that the people of that given area can do anything besides protest. They can't, if they pull their money from that corrupt organization, that corrupt cartel known as government, then they will have that cartel target them. That's all the government is. They're just the most successful criminal gang in any given area. If you don't have a monopoly over the initiation of force, then you have a marketplace for protection. And I'm not going to hire somebody to protect me who's known as a thug or, someone who's going to take advantage of others, because I get the freedom to choose.
So let's take that line of thought down the road for just a minute. So I'm a small business, and I own a small business.
Okay.
And we take away the police, we take away that centralized enforcement mechanism, and we create a situation where people are reliant for their own security and things like that. What happens when...
You don't have to take away the police, so you're wrong already. You can have the police. You just can't have a coercively funded police.
Well, but don't... regardless of what type of form the police take, there will always be some people that disagree with certain laws or certain aspects of the
Do you know many people who disagree with the murder laws and the arson or rape laws? Do you know anybody who, doesn't want to see those?
There are plenty of people that disagree with how those laws are enforced, with the scope of those laws, with the penalties of those laws. I mean, you can take any law, and there will be people in the United States that disagree with them.
But I'm asking you, do you know anyone personally who wants to abolish murder laws, sir?
No.
Okay. I don't either. But there are a lot of people who want to get rid of, say, malum prohibitums, which are prohibitions on behavior that doesn't harm others, like, let's say, prostitution or gambling or drugs. And if the police, whether they're government police or this decentralized, version that's not coercively funded, if they're not going around actually assaulting their own customers, then they'll be protecting people. They'll actually be investigating real crimes like murder and rape. I'd like to see that future.
And without the centralized government, you would have anywhere between 50 to 70% more of your own money that you would then be able to use to hire these private entities that would do a much better job at a fraction of the cost.
Yeah, and that's a great argument for people that are well off or even middle class people. But what about the 40% of this country that or 30% or whatever the percent is that lives below the poverty line? That even if they get that extra money back, that money goes to buying food and paying rent, not paying for security. Can you honestly?
Have you ever lived in an apartment complex that has security?
Yes.
Okay. So there are, of course, people who can gather together and gather their resources together to hire protection services or whatever. There might also be protection services offered for free. There may be neighborhood watch groups that volunteer to protect their own areas. We've got tools now that are helping decentralize emergency response, like Cell 411, which anybody and poor people still, even if you're poor, you can still afford a smartphone. Every poor person I've seen in recent years has had a smartphone. So if you've got a smartphone, whether it's Apple or Android, you can download Cell 411 from getcell411.com. You can create local cells of neighborhood watch group or your family members, your friends, and send out alerts to them, and your friends could respond. So there's a lot of different ways that people can self-organize, or, as I said, charities could pick up those balls. But it's never okay, whatever the excuse is, and the excuses you seem to be leaning toward here are, well, what about the poor? That's never an excuse to pick up a gun and point it at your neighbors and say, you got to pay to support people you don't necessarily want to.
And private charities are a lot more efficient than government-run social welfare programs
by several factors.
Somewhere between like 65 to 75% of stuff gets wasted on overhead.
Great objections, good conversation. Thanks, Hans. I appreciate it. The toll-free number tonight is 855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-3733. We continue here in moments with the live Saturday edition, as hour 2 is right around the corner. And you can join us, bring up anything that's on your mind.
Are you searching for your soulmate? Someone you can trust, who will never betray you? Or cooperate with the NSA? Stop searching. With EasyDNS, you found a keeper. EasyDNS does it all. Domain names, web hosting, and managed WordPress hosting. EasyDNS stands up for your internet freedom. And with servers in Canada, they do not cooperate with the NSA. Go to EasyDNS.com. You'll love their services or get a full refund. They guarantee it. And they accept Bitcoin. That's EasyDNS.com.
Free Talk Live has partnered with Amazon, the largest internet retailer. Imagine a department store category, and Amazon has it. Books, electronics, office products, furniture, jewelry, automotive, toys, clothing, sporting goods, and dozens of other categories. Now you can shop and support Free Talk Live by entering Amazon through our website. Go to shop.freetalklive.com, and Amazon will send us a portion of your purchase. You're going to do the shopping anyway, so remember to enter through our site at shop.freetalklive.com. That's shop.freetalklive.com.
This is your Robertson Roberts Brokerage Daily Precious Metals Update. In early trading Thursday, gold is $4 higher at $1,362 per ounce. Silver is 10 cents lower at $20.36 per ounce. Bitcoin is trading at $575 US. Gold and silver have been quietly outperforming the stock market all this year. Perhaps it's time for you to diversify your savings. Call Robertson Roberts Brokerage at 800-874-9760 or visit us online at rrbi.co.
The 3 most important things you can do for Free Talk Live are: 1, share 1 episode a week on Facebook or in some other social networking site. 2, buy the things you buy online through shop.freetalklive.com. 3, give $5 a month to the AMP program. You likely buy all kinds of things online. Amazon is the largest online retailer. You can get what you need at the same prices with free Super Saver shipping by going to shop.freetalklive.com. Please do your online shopping at shop.freetalklive.com.
You're listening to the live edition of Free Talk Live. Hour number 2 is next after the news here on the Liberty Radio Network at LRN.FM.
From Keene in the Shire, the Liberty Media capital of the world, this is Darryl W. Perry, host of FPP Radio News for Saturday, August 6th, 2016. Silver is trading at $19.74 per ounce. Gold is valued at $1,336 per ounce. And according to BitcoinAverage.com, the average price of Bitcoin is $577. Antiwar.com reports the Islamic State forces launched multiple attacks against military targets in several contested areas around the outskirts of the capital city in Syria's eastern Deir ez-Zor province, sparking major battles. Syrian state media reported 150 of the Islamic State fighters killed in Friday's fighting, and the Islamic State forces foiled. They did not indicate how many other troops were killed. Deir ez-Zor province is considered hugely valuable as one of Syria's largest oil-producing provinces. The Islamic State controls the vast majority of the province, though Syria's government retains control of most of the city of Deir ez-Zor and the nearby military airfield. The Islamic State has launched repeated offensives trying to gain more territory in recent months, mostly to little effect, but this is the second major push they've made in the past few days, with a Tuesday attack on the town of Jinanai sparking a battle that left 60 killed and an unknown number wounded. Details are scanned on both of these incidents, with Syrian officials emphasizing the large Islamic State death toll, but not offering particulars about where the fighting was taking place. At any rate, they underscore the continued interest of the Islamic State forces in gaining more of the province and shoring up their hold on territory along the Iraq-Syria border. You can support FPP Radio by joining the Fans program. Fans are friends, allies, and Numeri supporters. Fans help FPP afford to produce more original content. You can join the Fans program for as little as $3 per month through Patreon and get perks like ad-free versions of FPP Radio News and Peace, Love, Liberty Radio. To learn more or to join the Fans program, visit fans.fppradio.com. UPI reports as uncertainty permeates the Republican Party with nearly 3 months until Election Day. Donald Trump is being asked by some members of his own party to do something unheard of in American politics, drop out of the race after taking the nomination this far in. According to a report in Politico on Friday, a number of key Republicans polled in multiple battleground states want the New York businessman to quit his White House bid now so the GOP has as much time as possible to find a viable replacement. The report cited data gathered by the Politico caucus, a panel of activists, strategists, and analysts in nearly a dozen swing states that claimed 70% of party insiders in those states want Trump gone, and the sooner the better. Claims of such widespread party opposition to Trump follow what's arguably been two of the most tumultuous weeks in his campaign, days that saw the outspoken Republican almost universally panned for criticism he directed at American Muslim military parents who appeared at the Democratic National Convention last month. While there has been no indication whatsoever from Trump that he would seriously consider leaving the race this late, that's apparently not stopping some party members from making known their desire for a new candidate. For nearly 40 years, Roberts & Roberts Brokerage has been a trusted source for buying and selling precious metals like gold and silver. They also take Bitcoin for precious metal purchases and have permanently removed the minimum purchase amount for all orders paid in the digital currency. Call Roberts & Roberts today for knowledgeable advice on buying and selling precious metals and a forward-thinking approach to new technologies. 800-874-9760 or visit online at rrbi.co. Reuters reports a former FBI agent was sentenced on Friday to 2 years of probation for lying repeatedly at the 2013 murder and racketeering trial of Boston mobster Whitey Bulger. U.S. District Judge Dennis Saylor said at the former FBI agent's sentencing hearing in Boston that Robert Fitzpatrick would receive leniency because of his age and failing health. Fitzpatrick benefited from a plea agreement without which he would face a maximum sentence of more than 7 years in prison. Fitzpatrick, who served in the FBI from 1965 to 1986, lied to help Bulger's defense and to inflate his own accomplishments while serving as a special agent, according to prosecutors. His testimony included boasts that he found the rifle that was used to assassinate civil rights activist Martin Luther King Jr. in 1968, and that he had later been sent to Boston on a special assignment to clean up major problems there. In May, he he pled guilty to 12 criminal counts of perjury and obstruction of justice during Bulger's high-profile trial in Boston. Prosecutors say Fitzpatrick had falsely presented himself as a whistleblower who tried to end the FBI's corrupt relationship with Bulger. This has been FPP Radio News. Online at fppradio.com.
It's being called the must-have tech gadget of the year. The Samsung Apex, which hits shelves today, streams video into your left eye, internet into your right eye, and sucks your dick all at the same time. Samsung spokesman Neil Werner is projecting the biggest sales in his company's history.
Are you kidding me? This thing does everything, plus it sucks your dick, all right? And I know what you're thinking. And yes, ladies, there is a version for you that eats you out. Hanging up Apple, we beat you to the punch on this one. Samsung's got you by the balls.
In spite of the almost $1,000 price tag, customers are raving about the device.
For my career, I do need the internet and TV, and my dick sucked all the time.
I already have a TV and a girlfriend and a laptop, but to have all those in one device would be really nice.
Even a run of bad press about unsafe working conditions in the Apex factory in India have not dampened sales projections.
Yeah. Factory, switch up, blah, blah. How about you just plug your eyeball straight into the internet and get your dick sucked?
This is the Onion News Network.
Free Talk Live.
It's Free Talk Live. We're launching into the second hour here of the live Saturday edition of the program. With you in studio tonight, it's Ian
and Darryl.
Don't forget, you can join us online anytime you want and get interactive on the front page of the site over at freetalklive.com. You get to create the content there. What you see is a Reddit-based site. So we've kind of integrated Reddit with our front page. There's a lot more to the site than just the front page, but right there on the front page, you get to submit what you want, and then other listeners can vote whether they like or dislike your submission. You also get to vote on what you see there, and then we might just use some of those submissions on the radio. Of course, best way to get your ideas on the radio is to call us up, toll-free, 855-450-FREE, or Skype in at Skype username LRN.FM. We'd actually intended to talk about this meth mayor. Mayor of Fairfax, Virginia, has been arrested in bust alleging that he gave methamphetamine to an undercover detective in exchange for a sexual encounter. We'll get into that if we get the chance. Your calls come first here, and that's what we've been loaded up with so far tonight, talking about sort of general ideas of liberty and answering some good objections.
And based on what I've seen, I know you said that there's an interim mayor, but it does not appear that the mayor that got busted in that meth for sex thing has actually resigned.
Oh, interesting. All right, let's go to Jared. He's in Madison, Wisconsin. You're on Free Talk Live with Ian and Darryl. Hello, Jared. Hey, go ahead with your thoughts.
Yeah, sorry, I guess I haven't been listening to the whole show, so I didn't realize that you guys were wanting to talk about the mayor. I was just listening, and I heard you talking to another caller about libertarianism and an idea that you thought it was immoral to force other people to do things. Is that right?
Yes. Generally, that's something I think is absolutely true, unless, of course, the force is in response to force already used. So it's really the initiation of force that is wrong. Just to be clear, go ahead.
Okay. Well, I guess it just seemed kind of a. I hate to say it, but kind of a naive idea. I mean, like
naive. Okay.
I mean.
Uh-oh. I'll tell you what, Jared, I really want to hear what you have to say, but unfortunately you may be in a bad cell at the moment. Perhaps it has cleared up. Are you still with us? You know what? I really wanted to hear why it was naive. If there's some sort of technical issue, you're welcome to call back on Free Talk Live. Normally, our rule is only one phone call per night here, but if it's a bad cell or something like that, that obviously wasn't your fault. So I would really love to hear why the idea is naive. I don't want to really speculate on what he was going to say because it could have been a few different things.
Right.
So please, feel free. Maybe you can make his point as well. The toll-free number here is 855-450-FREE. Is it naive to be against the idea of the use of initiatory force? Again, not defensive force. You can still use, under the ideas of libertarianism, you can still use force to defend your own self from attack or your loved ones from attack. But you can't use force to, let's say, even if your goal is a worthy one. Even if you're trying to help the poor, or you're trying to help some old lady get a hospital operation or something like that, it's still not okay to go and put a gun in someone's face or threaten to put a gun in someone's face in order to get them to fund something. If it's a good idea, and I think helping the downtrodden is a good idea, and helping the sick is a good idea. If it's a good idea, you don't need to use force. You can just ask people to help. And you know what? They're going to help, because people are generous, especially when they have more of their own money that they get to keep because they're not being taxed to death by the state. They can be more generous. But we've already seen that even in today's world, where we are taxed significantly, when some sort of tragedy strikes, whether it's a home burning down in your area or something international like the tsunami and
tsunamis or earthquakes, I always, whenever there's a tsunami somewhere in Asia or an earthquake or a hurricane, you always wind up seeing this outpouring of support
from around the globe.
And then you wind up hearing, Red Cross or whatever, what other organization winds up getting an influx to where they will wind up telling people, stop donating. We have too much stuff. We don't know what to do with all of it.
Yeah, the generosity of people in general, overall. Now, there's some skinflints out there, of course. There's the guy, at the end of the street that doesn't want any kids on his lawn, and, he doesn't want to give anybody any money for any charities. But overall, the generosity of human beings is very renowned. I mean, it's pretty clear that we're willing to help even total strangers, even people that we don't know or have never even seen, which is one of the more interesting things. I mean, it's one thing when you get the news story about somebody's home burning down in your town. There's a chance you might know them or your friends might know them. But or at the very least, they feel like your neighbors. But somebody halfway across the world who's the victim of a tsunami in a very poor country, you've probably never been there. You probably don't know anyone who lives there who's been affected by it. But that doesn't mean you won't reach out to assist in whatever way you possibly can, because the humans, most of them, those who aren't sociopaths and psychopaths, and that's most of us, the sociopaths and psychopaths tend to work for the government as politicians and other bureaucrats. But most people have the ability to empathize, which means to put yourself in the shoes of another human being. I don't want to be homeless, so I'm willing to, help the homeless here in the Keene area. I don't want to be, have my house washed away by a tsunami. So, it's okay to reach out and you can understand their plight.
Right. And one thing that I think is very interesting is I'm fairly certain that all of us were taught at an early age, don't hit people and don't take their stuff. But for some weird reason, it seems as though once people hit, like the probably late 20s, early 30s, they start thinking that it's all of a sudden okay to hit people and take their stuff because, well, I can do so much better with this. We can do all of these things. We can pave roads. We can build schools. We can, shoot things in space. We can bomb people around the world if we just hit people and take their stuff.
Well, the excuse wouldn't have worked on the playground if you and your friends surrounded some kid and said, well, we all took a vote, Billy, you've got to hand over your lunch money. It would be pretty clear that that is also unacceptable. Like, it's not okay when you sock Billy in the face to take his lunch money by yourself, nor is it okay if you take a vote and if, 90% or 51% or whatever the people on the playground think Billy should have his money taken from him. That doesn't make it okay. And just because you're, like you said, 30 or 50 or however old you are, and that there's 300,000 voters or 30 million voters or whatever the number is, that still doesn't make it okay to threaten Billy or anyone for that matter. So, again, if you got a good idea, then fund it on a consensual basis. Let's go to Diane. She's listening to WVFT FM in Tallahassee. Diane, you're on Free Talk Live.
Okay, I'd like to talk about Bill Cosby and what was done to him when he began to speak out, and it was not PC. I mean, if they can destroy Bill Cosby, they, whoever they are, can destroy any of us if we say something that is not politically correct.
Well, it's certainly true. If the state or whoever it is, the powers that be, want you, they will figure out a way to get you. But I got to say, I didn't follow intimately the Bill Cosby allegations. I know there are several allegations by multiple women that he perhaps drugged and had sex with them. Is that what you're referring to?
Yeah, but that was 30 years ago. He had paid them off. Bill Cosby started talking about how African Americans should get over the Civil War. They should speak correct English. They should dress properly. And here come these women that 30 years ago he had paid them off when he was at the height of his success, when he was Dr. Huxtable and everybody loved him. Did they come out then? No.
Because they had been given hush money, according to you.
Exactly. So, but he came out and started talking, and it was not politically correct. So they destroyed him.
Well, I mean, that seems like a conspiracy theory. I mean, Bill Cosby for a long time has been advocating for education and people being well-spoken and all of that. I mean, that's nothing new. And is it really...
Yes, it is.
No, it's not. I remember him saying things like that in the recent past, or in the ways back. But anyway,
the man's got a doctorate in education, so like education is this man's passion.
Right. And everybody loved him.
Well,
until he started raping people.
Allegedly. No. And look, I don't know about this claim that it's all 30 years. I'm looking at a timeline here, and let's see. I'll see if I can pull out some more information about when these things allegedly happened, Diane. The toll-free number here is 855-450-FREAKS. There are a lot of accusations, and maybe they are all 30 years old, but like I said, I haven't dug deeply into this. If you know more, you can share your thoughts here with us at 855-450-FREE and take control of the airwaves on Free Talk Live.
People who can afford a LASIK procedure sure are lucky. Imagine being able to throw away your contacts and glasses. Imagine waking up tomorrow with 20/20 vision. Too bad everyone can't afford LASIK. Well, guess what? There's a company that agrees with you. The LASIK Vision Institute is now offering dramatically low prices on high-quality LASIK to make it affordable for everyone. That means you get the latest FDA-approved LASIK technology for a fraction of what others charge. And if you call right now, we'll schedule a free appointment so you can discover if LASIK is right for you. Results may vary. Call 1-800-939-5479. Even better, if you're one of the first 100 callers, ask about an extra 20% discount off our already low-cost services. We've already performed over 1 million procedures. Let us help you. Discover how you can get the quality LASIK experience you deserve at a fraction of what others charge. For your free appointment, call 1-800-939-5479. 1-800-939-5479.
Hi, I'm Dr. Joel Wallach, veterinarian and naturopathic physician. The Dead Doctors Don't Lie guy with an important message. Take charge of your health. Do not continue to blindly follow the system that has failed us all. I appreciate GCN listeners because you're open-minded and intelligent. If our system is so great, why is it that the United States, the USA, ranks nearly 60th worldwide in longevity and #1 in obesity? All the while we spend more money than all the other countries combined annually on unnecessary healthcare procedures and toxic drugs. It doesn't take much to get on track. Not with the government or pharmaceutical companies, but rather you in control of your own health with a basic understanding of nutrition and supplementation. FDI Longevity has the finest quality health, sports, and energy supplements available. GCN listeners are invited to join our team of people who want to stay healthy well into old age. We are currently looking for specialists to represent FDI Longevity and Save America. To buy products at wholesale prices or join our business team, go to GCNteam.com. That's GCNteam.com. Support GCN. Get healthy.
This is Michael Dean from the Freedom Feens radio show. I've run websites since 1996 and have used over a dozen web hosts in that time. AgoristHosting.com is the only one that hasn't broken my heart. Agorist Hosting's uptime and service is stellar, and their DDoS mitigation is the best I've seen. That's important because if you tell the truth in this world, you'll ruffle feathers. And some people will try dirty tricks to silence your voice. No matter what the haters hit us with, Agorist Hosting keeps our websites online. If you have a mission-critical commercial presence or a world-changing activism site, you cannot tolerate any tomfoolery. So go with AgoristHosting.com. And if you want to get your foot in the door with decentralized marketplaces, Agorist Hosting is now offering Open Bazaar hosting. Go to AgoristHosting.com. Click on the button that says Get Hosted. Agorist Hosting. That's AGORIST hosting.com.
If you want to know the latest about Free Talk Live before we go on the air, all you need to decide is how you want it delivered. It's your choice. Visit news.freetalklive.com. You can get emailed announcements and participate in contests via our email updates list. Plus, we have a Twitter account that you can follow and a Facebook page where you can become a fan. So visit news.freetalklive.com to get news about Free Talk Live as soon as it's announced and the way you want it delivered at news.freetalklive.com. That's news.freetalklive.com. Ross Ulbricht was convicted in early 2015 of running the infamous Silk Road underground market. The Silk Road was a gift to humanity and helped reduce the harms brought on by drug prohibition. For this good deed, Ross has been sentenced to life in prison with no possibility of parole. Now, an appeal is Ross's only chance, and he needs your support. Please visit freeross.org, where you can contribute via various methods, including Bitcoin. Visit freeross.org. That's freeross.org.
Do you love Twitter? Make sure you favorite the LRN.FM Twitter account so you can receive our tweets at twitter.lrn.fm. That's twitter.lrn.fm.
This is Free Talk Live. Still to come here tonight, if we get the chance, we'll talk about the meth-dealing mayor, or the allegedly meth-dealing mayor, here in moments. With you in studio tonight, you've got Ian.
And Darryl.
It's the live Saturday edition of the program. You can join us here toll-free at 855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-3733. When you go to bed tonight, concentrate on the position of your head and neck. Is it straight, your spine straight and parallel to the floor? If not, you should get the MyPillow. It's designed to fit to the shape of your body and hold your neck to the proper position. There are different fill levels available with MyPillow. I've been sleeping with it for months now, and it has been a great pillow. In fact, probably the best pillow I've ever used, because it not only does what it says it's going to do, but also you can keep the thing clean by putting it in the washer and drying it in your dryer, which is on its own a pretty amazing thing. Plus, there's a 60-day money-back guarantee. So if you don't believe what we're saying about it, try it out for yourself. If you don't like it, you can send it back. MyPillow.com. Use code FTL when you order, and you'll get a second pillow for free, or you can get one pillow for half off. It's up to you. MyPillow.com with code FTL. There's a 10-year warranty on the product, and again, a 60-day money-back guarantee. You've got nothing to lose. Give this thing a try. MyPillow.com, code FTL. As we go back to Diane, now, I did say I wanted to pull up some data here because, you know, it's one thing to take people's word for something when they call in, and generally we will. But she's making the claim that all the allegations against Bill Cosby were from something like 30 years ago. But a quick look at a basic timeline of events shows that there are allegations within the last decade or so against Cosby.
The most recent that I'm seeing from, I'm not looking at the timeline, I'm looking at a different article. Most recent that I'm seeing is 2008.
Yep, 2008's the most recent, and then prior to that, in 2005, a woman named Andrea Constan told police that Cosby assaulted her a year earlier at his mansion in Pennsylvania. The former Temple University employee said he invited her home after a dinner, gave her pills for stress and tension, then helped her to a sofa where she became dizzy and sick. She awoke with her clothing in disarray. She said she drove herself home and decided not to report what happened to police because of Cosby's fame and her position as a women's basketball administrator. Instead, she said she contacted a lawyer. In 2015, or July of 2015, a judge released court documents revealing that Cosby admitted in 2005 that he got Quaaludes, which is a sedative used recreationally as a party drug, with the intent of giving them to young women that he wanted to have sex with. You've got an actual quote, Darryl, from that trial, right?
Well, the actual quote was the question that was asked, and his one-word answer was yes.
And the question was?
The question was, when you got the Quaaludes, was it in your mind that you were going to use the Quaaludes for young women that you wanted to have sex with?
And he said yes to that. I mean, Diane, this was within the last, decade here, basically, that happened. So that pokes a hole in your claim. Now, I'm not saying that your theory is false necessarily, that maybe somebody is out to get Cosby and it's some sort of conspiracy. But, there sure are a lot of allegations against him. And they are a lot of them just allegations.
I believe that he probably did it. But my point is, the couple in San Bernardino that killed all those people, their neighbors saw something that they thought was suspicious, but they were afraid to speak up. My point is, if they can destroy Bill Cosby, they can destroy you or me or
of course.
anyone they want.
Well, I agree with you there. If they decide you're worth targeting, they'll just come up with something to, slander you with,
Exactly.
or manufacture some evidence, or just. Who are they?
Who is they?
People who are in positions of power, people who wish to, retain.
FBI, CIA.
Yeah.
The NSA, your local police department, the city council in your town, the mayor.
Yeah, I mean, these are people in positions of power who would like to stay there. They would like to continue to have that power and to be able to wield that power for the benefit of their friends and to punish their enemies. And it's certainly true that if you make enough waves and you stick your head up above the water, so to speak, and you're a troublemaker, you upset the apple cart, there's a chance they're going to target you, just like they did with Martin Luther King and others historically throughout time. Now, again, I'm not, like you're saying here, maybe Cosby did these things. It sure does seem like he is, if he's admitting to having acquired Quaaludes for the purpose of drugging women in a deposition or in a court hearing, that's a pretty damning admission.
And there's a quote from this article that I have from Business Insider from one of the earlier victims, someone that said that she was assaulted back in the 70s, Tamara Green. She was asked why she never went to the police. She said, quote, "It never works out for the victim unless you're bleeding and there's DNA and an eyewitness. I was 19. He was the king of the world. Nobody would have believed me."
Probably true. Diane, thanks for your call tonight. Appreciate it. The toll-free number is 855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-3733. And maybe not all of the allegations are true, but given the large number of allegations, given his admission that he had acquired Quaaludes for the purpose of drugging young women, it sure as hell seems like some of these allegations likely hold water.
And once somebody sees, other people are brave enough to come forward to talk about what happened to them, that is going to then, wind up giving other people the courage to come forward. And, of course, it's going to wind up, some of the people that just want to have their 15 minutes of fame be like, oh, yeah, that happened to me, too.
Sure. So the 2008 case that you mentioned being the most recent one, Chloe Goins, this is all according to the LA Times. They've got a timeline of Cosby. Chloe Goins, a model, meets with LAPD in January in 2008, or met with them, to discuss her allegations that Cosby drugged and sexually assaulted her at the Playboy Mansion in 2008. She is the first woman accusing Cosby of sexual misconduct whose case may fall within the statute of limitations. In a 2015 January statement, Cosby's attorney, Martin Singer, writes Cosby was in New York that night that Goins says he was at the Playboy Mansion. So, maybe she's one of those people who is seeking attention. And I don't know how many of, dozens of women have come forward at this point, but it's not unbelievable. It's apparently more than 40 of them. He's now 78 years old. It's not unbelievable that someone like Cosby, who is in a position of not really power, but certainly influence.
Right.
I mean, he's a very popular comedian, children's host who, a lot of us, I'm in my 30s, you're in your 30s. Darryl, I remember growing up with Picture Pages on Nickelodeon, which was hosted by Bill Cosby. Huge, very, very popular, children's product. This guy is everywhere. And
I mostly remember him from The Cosby Show.
The Cosby Show, yep.
America's Dad, they called him.
And, of course, lots of movies and all that. I remember growing up hearing albums of his stand-up routines that were very, very funny. So when somebody's as beloved as Bill Cosby is, if he gets accused of doing terrible things, there's some level of protection there for him. And because people just won't believe the accusations. And that doesn't mean that he didn't do those things, right? That maybe he is taking advantage of his fame. Maybe he is taking advantage of his position and the ease that he would be able to, get women into bed with him. And the funny thing is, he could probably do it without drugging them. So that's what's the saddest thing about this.
But the thing is, with rapists, it's not about the sex. It's about the power and the control.
That's sick. Toll-free number is 855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-3733. You can bring up whatever's on your mind here. We've got plenty of time for you. This is the live Saturday edition of Free Talk Live.
Do you ever feel like you're being watched? Like someone or some company is tracking your every move online? I know I do. That's why I trust Private Internet Access VPN to keep me safe when I'm online. I use it to encrypt my traffic and use an anonymous IP address. Private Internet Access keeps your internet traffic safe from unwanted eyes so you can finally feel safe. $40 a year for peace of mind is a no-brainer. Sign up today at privateinternetaccess.com. Once again, that's privateinternetaccess.com.
Would it be okay if you had 2 paychecks instead of 1? I'm Pharmacist Keith. Dr. Wallach, the Dead Doctors Don't Lie guy, and myself want to show you how to get an extra paycheck every month, creating an extra income that will last for years to come by joining Dr. Wallach's crusade, spreading his message of better health. To learn more, visit radio.recordedvideo.com. That's radio.recordedvideo.com, radio.recordedvideo.com, or call 866-257-3105 for a recorded message.
Is spreading the message of liberty and peace around the globe worth 15 cents per day to you? As you may already know, in addition to our internet feed, LRN.FM broadcasts on free-to-air satellite across North and Central America, as well as sub-Saharan Africa. Last year, we did a fundraiser that successfully covered the costs of continuing our African channel. This year, we're hoping to raise enough to fund a new satellite signal that will cover Europe, North Africa, and much of the Middle East. You can donate as much or as little as you like via the Indiegogo campaign at fund.lrn.fm. And there are perks available like sitting in on your favorite LRN.FM show, exclusive shiny badges, or even naming a satellite channel. Please contribute now at fund.lrn.fm and help us continue our satellite broadcast to multiple continents. The fundraiser ends August 19th, so please visit fund.lrn.fm today, and thank you for your help. That's fund.lrn.fm. So you've signed the Shire Society Declaration and are planning your move to New Hampshire to be around more liberty-oriented people. Next, sign up for the Shire Society Forum at forum.shiresociety.com. There are a bunch of people there who are already in the Shire, and they want to meet you. If you're already in the Shire physically, you should also come by the forums. Remember, not everyone uses Facebook. New people are signing up for the Shire Society Forum every month, so drop in and say hello at forum.shiresociety.com.
Here's a chance to do a little activism while you're cruising Facebook, Twitter, or Google+. Between the LOL cats, the recipes, the hot girls, and the inspirational sunrise memes, Free Talk Live's posts pass by your newsfeed. Like them, comment. It gives us more exposure. If you don't see our posts, click like at facebook.freetalklive.com and then hover over it to click Get Notifications. It's an easy way to spread the ideas of liberty a bit further. I know you're busy, but you can spare that 1/10 of a calorie it takes to click on something. Facebook.freetalklive.com.
Poor water quality is a major health issue, and it's only getting worse. Municipalities can't keep up. Standards have dropped, and pollutants are increasing. Where does it all end? It ends by keeping the pollutants outside of your home with HydroCare's advanced systems available at Wave Home Solutions. No less than the best purification materials and processes have been developed by HydroCare to provide you with healthy, clean water for drinking, cooking, and showering. HydroCare far surpasses the competition in removing chlorine, odors, iron, lead, chemicals, limescale, and much more. Don't settle for less when it comes to your water. We'll take care of the toughest water problems for you, whether it's from a city or well source. Satisfaction guaranteed. For more information, call 888-997-WAVE. That's 888-997-WAVE. Or go to bestwater123.com. That's bestwater123.com.
Wave Home Solutions for a healthy, comfortable home.
Listen to LRN.FM on any phone, anytime. 641-552-5046. That's 641-552-5046.
This is Free Talk Live. You may bring up anything you want here. Toll free at 855-450-FREE. By the way, I was just informed that we are apparently being broadcast over at the Jackalope Freedom Festival. So
nice. Oh, yeah, that thing's going on this weekend.
Yep. So welcome to our listeners out there camping out in, was it northern Arizona? Where they had that?
Undisclosed location in Arizona.
It's obviously disclosed. There's a bunch of people there, so I'm sure anybody who wants to know could probably figure out where it's being held.
Just look for the Jackalope.
Yep. So welcome to all of our listeners all over the globe. Thanks for tuning in tonight. It's Ian and Darryl in the studio here in beautiful Keene, New Hampshire. Of course, if you've got Bitcoin, and I bet a lot of people out at the Jackalope Freedom Festival do, I want you to download the official wallet of Free Talk Live. It's called Jaxx, JAXX.io is the website. That's where you can get it. It's cross-platform, so you can have it on your phone, laptop, desktop, pretty much whatever computing device you have. There's likely a Jaxx for you. You can get it through your favorite app store if you prefer, or just go straight to JAXX.io. And there's no wallet like it. You can hold Bitcoin, Ether, as well as DAO tokens, and more currencies are on the way. Plus, Jaxx is striving to give you command over your digital life, coins, contracts, currencies, identity, and more. Plus, in the Jaxx app, you can actually shapeshift between the different currencies. So you want to convert some Bitcoin into Ether or vice versa, you can do that without ever having to leave the Jaxx wallet, which is very awesome. It was created by Anthony Diorio. He's a Free Talk Live listener and one of the founders of Ethereum. It's super easy to back up your wallets and recover your funds with Jaxx. So you don't have to worry if you lose your phone or drop it in a lake or something like that. Jaxx is available to you for free, of course, over at Jaxx.io. It's the official wallet of Free Talk Live, your digital command center in the palm of your hand. Jaxx, JAXX.io, as we go to China, where Ian is on the line via Skype. Go ahead, Ian.
The major media had him convicted before anybody knew anything. What's
You're talking about Cosby.
Yeah. I mean, the major media, just like they are with Trump, you don't read anything good. Everything is keep the public afraid, keep the public angry. Let's fry this guy. I don't care if he did it. Let's burn him.
Well, I have a problem with people being convicted before any evidence has been presented. And it's certainly not, it's not fun when the media piles onto somebody. But this guy also did have multiple women coming out with some pretty outrageous allegations. I mean, isn't it possible?
Because there's a lot of money to be had.
Is there, though?
Yeah.
They
can jointly get, all they need is a conviction, and that's grounds for civil suit.
But many of these cases are beyond the statute of limitations.
Most of these cases are civil suit because the statute of limitations has run out. There's the one case. There's exactly one case where the statute of limitations has not yet run out.
I guess what I'm saying is I just think that the media has far too much sway, far too much push, and should be held more accountable for the crap they print.
Well, the only way
what are you going to do? File a lawsuit against the CEO of ABC and NBC because they talk about a story too much?
Well, I hate to turn to China for the example, but a local paper did a story on a man heavily implicating him in the murder and rape of a little girl. It went through the trial, and for some weird reason, he was found not guilty. Weird reason being, they caught the guy who really did it. Unfortunately, this other guy had already been convicted in the court of public opinion. Tell me that doesn't happen in America.
Oh, it absolutely does happen, and it's horrifying when that occurs, no doubt about it. But as far as holding the media accountable, I mean, the only really, the way that you can do that is by becoming the media and, holding them accountable by competing with them and putting your opinion out there about what matters and what they're doing and that's wrong. And that you want people to know about.
Well, page 2, you and Anarchy seem to be very good friends, because what I'm hearing, libertarianism is another word for anarchy.
No, I mean, anarchy suggests that there are no rules, and
it actually means no rulers.
I know that's what it means.
But if you take libertarian philosophy to its logical extent, then yes, you would be advocating for no coercive state.
But hold on, Darryl. I think you got to remember, when people think about anarchy, they don't necessarily know that it means no rulers, which is what you specified there. They think of it as no. They think of it as no rules. I mean, there's people out there throwing Molotov cocktails, calling themselves anarchists, dressing in black, shoving dumpsters
there's people
around.
That are shooting others and dropping bombs on them, and they're calling themselves peacekeepers.
Yeah, I get that.
That's chaos.
But it's important to point out that as a voluntarist, I believe that all human interaction should be consensual. And does that mean that I think the state should be abolished? Yes, of course, that's what it means. But that doesn't mean that I support anarchy. I support having rules. I don't think there's anything wrong with rules. I may ask you to take your shoes off when you come into my home, and that's because I believe in the idea of private property. And on private property owners can set rules. So there could be some societies in the absence of the state that are actually more restrictive and more controlled by consent of the members within it as compared to what we have today.
My major concern is what I'm hearing about libertarianism. It's accepting that all people are basically good and sweet and kind.
Most people
Communism assumed the same thing.
Well, communism is the idea of forcing people to distribute the things that they have amongst one another, from each according to his ability to each according to his need, or so they claim. And the thing is that there's the use of force in there. If people want to come together and share the things that they have on a consensual basis, that fits within the voluntarist framework. That fits within the free marketplace. Within the free market, you can have a voluntary commune. People do have communes today, and they don't force people by the threat of violence to stay on the commune or to join the commune or whatever. So,
what about micro-government, county by county? If I don't like it in ABC County, I'll go over to CDE County where they like the rules.
Well, if that's better than having a national government or a state government. So the smaller is better. It's more accountable to the people there than people thousands of miles or hundreds of miles away.
I would rather governments, if they are to exist, not be tied to geography.
Sure. I mean, I'm only saying
that's not an unheard of situation. Ireland, for thousands of years, was a polycentric civilization. Polycentric meaning many centers. So the governance was not tied to geography and vice versa.
Gentlemen, I want to say this. I love the hell out of your show. If you had a show like this in China, I mean, Chinese hosts and the work, and they were allowed to live, oh boy, I'll tell you, we'd see some serious change. It is my prayer that more and more Americans listen to your show.
Thank you. I hope more people around the globe are able to hear the ideas of liberty. And Ian, I appreciate your call tonight. We've, of course, been doing our satellite fundraiser, which we can tell you more about, to help expose people around the world to the ideas of liberty and peace, because they are great ideas. They don't just belong here in the United States. They're a worldwide appeal. People all around the globe want to be free. They want to live their lives the way they want, and so long as they don't harm anyone else, they should be able to do that. So that's the message that we're bringing here. The satellite fundraiser is happening right now, and you can get behind it by going to fund.lrn.fm. That's fund, fund.lrn.fm. Just yesterday, we announced your additional perk, Darryl, that you've generously offered up, which includes an audiobook version of A Rebel's Journey. That's your book, your memoir. And there's also the PDF version of the very same book, so you can read it or you can listen to it, and that is available to anyone who contributes as a fundraiser to the satellite fundraiser at fund.lrn.fm. And there's other perks there as well. It's an Indiegogo fundraiser, and we're looking to get another satellite channel on board over Europe as well as North Africa and a good chunk of the Middle East and even some of Russia. So not quite to Asia yet, but if somebody wants to pony up the money to broadcast to Asia, I would love to do that. I'd be happy to, just I don't have the money to do it right now. And as far as priorities are concerned, I'd rather get on in Europe, where it's a fairly popular satellite that we want to get on. Anyway, you can learn more about it, fund.lrn.fm. There's about 2 weeks left in the fundraiser. We'll continue with your calls and thoughts coming up here on Free Talk Live.
If you or someone you love is suffering from hearing loss, please stay tuned for a special free offer from the makers of a revolutionary hearing breakthrough called Listen Clear. Listen Clear is precisely designed by top audio engineers to fit the ear almost invisibly, and it can be adjusted to find the perfect way to hear everything in every listening environment. Right now, we're offering absolutely free in-home trials to everyone who calls now. 1-800-721-9369. Call in the next 10 minutes, and you'll also receive free shipping and free batteries for life. Listen Clear is lightweight and practically invisible, so people won't notice when you're wearing it. So again, if you or someone you love is suffering from hearing loss, please give them or yourself this life-changing 100% free in-home trial with free shipping and free batteries for life. For free information, call now. 1-800-721-9369. That's 1-800-721-9369. 1-800-721-9369.
Paid non-attorney spokesperson. Injury Help Desk is responsible for this advertisement. Principal office, Las Vegas, Nevada. This ad is not legal advice, and the choice of a lawyer should not be based solely upon advertisement. Services may not be available in all states. Attention prescription antibiotic drug users. Have you or a loved one suffered an aortic dissection, aortic aneurysm, or abdominal aortic aneurysm after taking the prescription antibiotic drugs Levaquin or Avelox? These popular antibiotic drugs have been prescribed more than 80 million times since 2004, and medical studies show an increased risk of the following injuries: aortic dissection, aortic aneurysm, and abdominal aortic aneurysm. If you or a loved one used the prescription antibiotic drugs Levaquin or Avelox and suffered from aortic dissection, aortic aneurysm, or abdominal aortic aneurysm, you may be entitled to substantial financial compensation. Act now. Time is limited to file a claim. You may be entitled to substantial financial compensation. For a free consultation and free information, call Injury Help Desk at 800-823-3851. 800-823-3851. 800-823-3851.
Our planet is but a giant petri dish swirling with pathogens, all mixed by the filthy stirring straw that is the world's fauna, simply by sitting on her eggs and breathing. This duck unleashes a torrent of avian botulism, cholera, and duck plague into the air. These jousting elk slough off bits of skin and fur, sending millions of harmful bacteria into the air. Our closest relative, the chimpanzee, is itself the fountainhead of AIDS. Bitter at the ascendancy of man, these scheming apes brood this deadly virus in their jungle lairs. Nowhere on Earth is safe from the threat of animals. Even in the bitter wasteland of the Antarctic, penguins walk for miles inland, ensuring their afflictions reach every corner of the globe.
This is the Onion News Network.
So you've heard all 3 hours of the latest episode of Free Talk Live, and you're still hungry for liberty-oriented audio content? Did you know that we have another 24/7 audio stream at LRN.FM? The Liberty Radio Network airs the latest episodes of some of the best liberty-oriented podcasts on the internet around the clock. In addition to recorded content, you'll also hear live shows like Free Talk Live, originating from our Keene, New Hampshire studio. So listen anytime at LRN.FM. That's LRN.FM. The new 4th edition of Healing Our World, The Compassion of Libertarianism, will take your understanding of liberty to a deeper level and has over 1,300 updated references, new cartoons, and a foreword by Dr. Ron Paul. With discounts for multiple book purchases, the 4th edition of Healing Our World is a great gift for the liberals, pragmatists, environmentalists, and Christians in your life who think libertarianism is cold-hearted. Get yours today at healing.freetalklive.com and use promo code FTL for a $5 discount.
If you enjoy LRN.FM, please contribute to your favorite shows via their websites and become an amplifier at amp.lrn.fm. That's amp.lrn.fm.
It's Free Talk Live. You may dial toll-free here. Bring up anything you want. Live Saturday edition continuing with you tonight. It's Ian.
And Darryl.
We've got Skype. Our Skype username is LRN.FM. And don't forget, you can also call in toll-free, 855-450-FREE, 855-450-3733. We go back to the phones, to the fun. We got Dale listening to WNIS in Norfolk, Virginia. Hello, Dale.
Hello. How you doing today?
Great. Go ahead with your thoughts.
I got a question for you. This Bitcoin. I was wanting to try to get some Bitcoins.
Yes.
And I tried to look online, Google it, and it was talking about you can pay either card or credit card or PayPal. But when I clicked on the credit card, it was charging me like, if I wanted to get like $5, it was going to charge me like $15. And then if I decided I was going to go with PayPal to pay for it, it was only going to be like $5 cheaper or something like that for the same amount of money.
What service were you looking at? Because there are a lot of ways that you can get Bitcoin that do not have those enormous fees.
Oh, well, I was just trying to figure out Bitcoin sounds pretty cool, but do you have any suggestions, any sites I can go to? I got my pencil and paper ready before I can figure this
Sure.
how this thing works.
I would recommend starting at bitcoin.com. It's not only one of our advertisers, but it's actually a really good site with a lot of good introductory kind of information on how to acquire Bitcoin. I recommend the Jax wallet. That's what we're recommending here as the official wallet of Free Talk Live. So first thing you got to decide is which wallet to get. They're all free. So you can go to jax.io, jaxx.io, and you can download the wallet there. And then in order to load it up with Bitcoin, again, there are a bunch of different options out there. And really the question is, how much privacy do you want to give up? So if you're willing to, if you've got a bank account and you're willing to completely give up your privacy, then you can get Bitcoin as cheap as 1% over the market cost through companies like Coinbase, who are completely obedient to state rules and things like that. And then there's also people who will sell you Bitcoin individually. You can go to localbitcoins.com and get them from an individual in your area, or you can go to coinatmradar.com and find
I'm on that site right now, and it looks like there are at least 2 Bitcoin ATMs or Bitcoin vending machines in the Norfolk area.
Right, so you can physically walk to one of those stores or go to one of those stores, walk in, put cash into a machine, and then the machine will vend Bitcoin into your wallet. So there are a bunch of different ways to get your digital hands on Bitcoin. But bitcoin.com is a good starting point.
You said coinatmradar.com?
Yep.
Yes.
Great website. Really easy to find the locations of physical locations where you can actually go and get Bitcoin from a machine. Now, some of the machines have more security requirements than others, so I don't know what the requirements are there. Sometimes you can get those details from CoinATM Radar, where it'll tell you, oh, well, if you want to get more than this amount of Bitcoin, then you might have to scan a copy of your driver's license. Some machines respect your privacy. It just all depends on how they're set up and who the operators are. But there are, again,
you have to have a wallet. You say a purse, a wallet first.
Correct. The Bitcoin wallet is basically, that's sort of the regular terminology for what essentially is a set of keys, cryptographic keys. Each Bitcoin wallet has private and public keys. So what you do is, if you want someone to send you Bitcoin, you give them your public key, and then they can send you Bitcoin. You can share it with them in a QR code format, or you can just give them the actual long. It's basically, it looks like a jumble of letters and numbers
16
together.
characters, I believe.
I don't know how many it is, but it usually begins with a 1 or a 3, depending on the type of wallet that it is. So there's a lot to learn about this, and Bitcoin.com, I think, is probably the best place to go for someone who's brand new to it. It's really an exciting time to be alive, because Bitcoin, for those that don't know, is a decentralized currency. It is not created by a government. It's not created by a bank. It was created by someone called Satoshi Nakamoto, and no one knows who that is. We don't know if it's a male, a female, a group of people, space aliens. We don't know who created this code, but it was released to the world in 2009. We're now in the 7th year of Bitcoin's existence, and it's just been a wild ride so far. And Bitcoin is the most valuable. Arguably the most valuable currency on the face of the planet at the moment, with right now the current price in U.S. dollars being approximately $591 per Bitcoin. Now, the thing that people need to know is you can buy a fraction of a Bitcoin, so you don't have to buy a full Bitcoin. If you can't afford $600, if you can afford $1, you can get Bitcoin. You can get $1 worth of Bitcoin, which probably breaks down to like 0.000 or something like that, 0.001.
Oh, is that why I saw that thing that said get 0.0015?
Yep.
Or something like that.
Exactly.
That's what that means.
Yep, you got it.
Then, like, if I wanted $15, is that one of the things I saw in there was like minimum $15 to buy, and I'm like, okay, so I put in 15, and it came up with this 0.000.
Yep. So it's telling you how much Bitcoin that would get you. So now when you go and you buy from a Bitcoin vending machine, you're usually going to pay more because you're paying for convenience. Whereas if, like I said, you go through a Coinbase or one of the other Bitcoin exchanges, then you have to give up your personal information to them. You've got to give them your bank account info, and then they can actually literally just ACH money directly from your bank account, and then you get the Bitcoin, instantly, basically. Because of that.
Oh, okay.
And
I thought one guy was wanting to do it through what's the eBay? What they use? PayPal, right? So he was using PayPal to do that, and they were charging, it was like $3-4, whatever to charge. And I'm just like, well, why do you want to get money for giving me a big? I didn't know how the system worked.
Well, you got to make money too. I mean, generally, people who exchange currency have to make money on the process. Otherwise, it's not a viable business. And further, the thing with PayPal, the reason why you won't see a lot of people offering Bitcoin for PayPal is because Bitcoin's irreversible. This is one of the features of Bitcoin. When I send you Bitcoin, if you were to give me your wallet ID and I were to send you Bitcoin, I can't contact somebody and say, hey, Dale didn't, do what he said he was going to do for that Bitcoin, and so please reverse the transaction, like you can with a credit card. Like you can, if you put something on a credit card or a PayPal or whatever, you can contact the company and you can say, well, this person scammed me or whatever, stop that payment. And so the person who's selling Bitcoin for PayPal is taking on a super high level of risk in that as soon as if they're selling it for PayPal, they transfer you the Bitcoin and then you send them a PayPal. Well, if you decide, I'm going to stop payment from PayPal or try to reverse that transaction, they get that PayPal puts that money on hold. They can't actually cash that money out, but you still got the Bitcoin. So it's a much higher level of risk for that person, which is why they'll likely charge more if they're even willing to do it through PayPal or a credit card in the first place. So start out at Bitcoin.com, and Dale, let us know how it goes. Thanks for your call tonight. Toll-free number here is 855-450-FREE. There's a lot of reasons why someone would want to learn about Bitcoin and get into it. One of the reasons is that there's virtually no fees. They're very, very small. There are fees to send money, but it's different from
It's pennies.
Right. A handful of pennies typically at most to send any amount of money. It doesn't matter if it's $50, $50,000, or 50 cents. You're likely going to pay about 4 or 5 cents in a fee to transmit that to anywhere in the globe. So to get rid of those fees is really important. And if you think about this, when you're running a business and you accept credit cards, there's usually about a 3% fee sort of behind the scenes. It's transparent to the customer. They don't see it. In fact, most credit card companies make it against the rules. It's a violation of terms of service to break out the credit card fee for somebody or to give a cash price. So sometimes you'll see gas pumps say, if you pay with cash, we'll give you 5% off or something like that, or 2% or 3% off. Most of the time, that's a violation of the credit card's terms of service because they don't want people to think about the fees that are involved. They just want they want the customer to think, this is a convenient way to pay. When in reality, it costs the business to accept that credit card. Whereas if you pay cash, the business gets to take more of that money. Same thing with Bitcoin. If you pay with Bitcoin, the business keeps more of the money from the transaction rather than it going to the big banks and to these credit card companies. But further, with Bitcoin, it's the sender, the person who's paying, who pays the fee. It's not the vendor. So you as the sender actually pays the 5% extra for the ability to send. You mean 5 cents? Or sorry, the 5 cents or whatever the amount is. It's not always 5 cents. It could be less or whatever, depending on market circumstances.
You had said 5%.
Yeah,
it's definitely not 5%. It's maybe 4 or 5 cents.
Right.
And speaking about the credit cards, I've noticed several businesses, especially the ones where they sell like drinks and snacks, they'll have something by the cash register. Minimum $5 for credit or debit card.
Because they'll lose money. If it's $1, if it's $1 Coca-Cola or something like that, sometimes there's a 30-cent fee, like with
30
PayPal.
cent per transaction plus 3.9%.
Yeah. Or it's typically 2.9, but stuff like American Express is as high as 5 or Discover 5%. So 855-450 free. Learn more at Bitcoin.com. Hour 3 is coming up of Free Talk Live.
For Bitcoin to be ubiquitous, people need to use it. For people to use it, they must have it. How can we get Bitcoin into more hands? Well, tipping might be a great way. What if you could include a bonus Bitcoin tip along with your regular tip to a server? What if that Bitcoin returned to you if unclaimed after 30 days? An attractive business card-sized Bitcoin tip that is easily claimed, gives instructions on wallets, spending, and returns to the user if unused? Tip.freetalklive.com. Tip.freetalklive.com.
Here's a good idea. When you have a legal matter like creating your will or legally setting up a business with a corporation or LLC, you don't necessarily need a law firm. Use LegalZoom.com. At LegalZoom.com, you answer straightforward questions online, and they take care of the rest. They even review your answers for common mistakes and guarantee your satisfaction. Free Talk Live listeners, you'll get 10% off your order by typing in FTL in the referral box at purchase. Don't procrastinate with these important legal documents. LegalZoom.com.
Cell 411 is a free app for Android and iOS that replaces government-controlled 911. Cell 411 allows you to preset a group of friends or private organizations to show up in any emergency. Cell 411 is a nightmare for the state because it proves their so-called services aren't needed. Cell 411 has had thousands of installs, and of course it's covered by the BIPCOT no government license. Cell 411 because your friends won't shoot you when you're in trouble. Without the government, who would build the emergency services? You and Cell 411. Get it today at getcell411.com.
LRN.FM is proud to announce our official listening apps for Android and iOS devices. Now you can easily tune into our streams anywhere, anytime on your smartphone or tablet. Just visit apps.lrn.fm or search for LRN.FM in the Android or Apple app stores. Please download, rate us 5 stars, then share the link on your social media and let your friends and family know how you're listening to LRN.FM. Download it now, free at apps.lrn.fm.
You're listening to the live edition of Free Talk Live. Hour number 3 is next after the news here on the Liberty Radio Network at LRN.FM.
From Keene in the Shire, the Liberty Media capital of the world, this is Darryl W. Perry, host of FPP Radio News for Saturday, August 6th, 2016. Silver is trading at $19.74 per ounce. Gold is valued at $1,336 per ounce. And according to BitcoinAverage.com, the average price of Bitcoin is $577. Antiwar.com reports the Islamic State forces launched multiple attacks against military targets in several contested areas around the outskirts of the capital city in Syria's eastern Deir ez-Zor province, sparking major battles. Syrian state media reported 150 of the Islamic State fighters killed in Friday's fighting, and the Islamic State forces foiled. They did not indicate how many other troops were killed. Deir ez-Zor province is considered hugely valuable as one of Syria's largest oil-producing provinces. The Islamic State controls the vast majority of the province, though Syria's government retains control of most of the city of Deir ez-Zor and the nearby military airfield. The Islamic State has launched repeated offensives trying to gain more territory in recent months, mostly to little effect, but this is the second major push they've made in the past few days, with a Tuesday attack on the town of Jinanai sparking a battle that left 60 killed and an unknown number wounded. Details are scanned on both of these incidents, with Syrian officials emphasizing the large Islamic State death toll, but not offering particulars about where the fighting was taking place. At any rate, they underscore the continued interest of the Islamic State forces in gaining more of the province and shoring up their hold on territory along the Iraq-Syria border. You can support FPP Radio by joining the Fans program. Fans are friends, allies, and Numery supporters. Fans help FPP afford to produce more original content. You can join the Fans program for as little as $3 per month through Patreon and get perks like ad-free versions of FPP Radio News and Peace, Love, Liberty Radio. To learn more or to join the Fans program, visit fans.fppradio.com. UPI reports as uncertainty permeates the Republican Party with nearly 3 months until Election Day. Donald Trump is being asked by some members of his own party to do something unheard of in American politics, drop out of the race after taking the nomination this far in. According to a report in Politico on Friday, a number of key Republicans polled in multiple battleground states want the New York businessman to quit his White House bid now so the GOP has as much time as possible to find a viable replacement. The report cited data gathered by the Politico caucus, a panel of activists, strategists, and analysts in nearly a dozen swing states that claimed 70% of party insiders in those states want Trump gone, and the sooner the better. Claims of such widespread party opposition to Trump follow what's arguably been 2 of the most tumultuous weeks in his campaign, days that saw the outspoken Republican almost universally panned for criticism he directed at American Muslim military parents who appeared at the Democratic National Convention last month. While there has been no indication whatsoever from Trump that he would seriously consider leaving the race this late, that's apparently not stopping some party members from making known their desire for a new candidate. For nearly 40 years, Roberts & Roberts Brokerage has been a trusted source for buying and selling precious metals like gold and silver. They also take Bitcoin for precious metal purchases and have permanently removed the minimum purchase amount for all orders paid in the digital currency. Call Roberts & Roberts today for knowledgeable advice on buying and selling precious metals and a forward-thinking approach to new technologies. 800-874-9760 or visit online at rrbi.co. Reuters reports a former FBI agent was sentenced on Friday to 2 years of probation for lying repeatedly at the 2013 murder and racketeering trial of Boston mobster Whitey Bulger. U.S. District Judge Dennis Saylor said at the former FBI agent's sentencing hearing in Boston that Robert Fitzpatrick would receive leniency because of his age and failing health. Fitzpatrick benefited from a plea agreement without which he would face a maximum sentence of more than 7 years in prison. Fitzpatrick, who served in the FBI from 1965 to 1986, lied to help Bulger's defense and to inflate his own accomplishments while serving as a special agent, according to prosecutors. His testimony included boasts that he found the rifle that was used to assassinate civil rights activist Martin Luther King Jr. in 1968, and that he had later been sent to Boston on a special assignment to clean up major problems there. In May, he pled guilty to 12 criminal counts of perjury and obstruction of justice during Bulger's high-profile trial in Boston. Prosecutors say Fitzpatrick had falsely presented himself as a whistleblower who tried to end the FBI's corrupt relationship with Bulger. This has been FPP Radio News, online at fppradio.com.
A hot new murder craze sweeps Chicago. Things that shouldn't be said in modern society are said 1,400 times at the RNC, and a brave woman enters a restaurant without first looking it up online. This is the Onion Week in Review. The World Wildlife Fund quickly backtracked Thursday from a recently released press statement saying panda ears are, quote, absolutely delicious. Organization officials noted that while panda ears do taste amazing braised, steamed, fried, or cooked in an omelet, they should not have announced it publicly, nor should they have ever eaten any part of a cheetah, giraffe, or Bengal tiger, no matter how good they may be. According to company sources, the Netflix board of directors held a tense series of meetings earlier this morning to decide whether the fantasy comedy Michael is stream-worthy. The board reportedly sat through its mandatory 2 back-to-back screenings of the 1996 film starring John Travolta as an angel visiting Earth, all while passionately arguing over the film's story, acting, and level of enjoyment upon subsequent viewings to determine if the movie should be available through its instant viewing program.
This is the Onion News Network.
Free Talk Live.
This is Free Talk Live. We're launching into the third hour of the program, and you can join us here toll free. Our number is 855-450-FREE. Coming up, if we get the chance, we'll tell you about this Fairfax, Virginia mayor who's been arrested for allegedly giving methamphetamine to an undercover police officer in exchange for a sexual encounter, which, by the way, I think should be a completely legal act. But nonetheless, we'll get into it with you tonight. It's Ian.
And Darryl.
Our toll-free number, if you want to join us to bring up what you want, is 855-450-FREE, 855-450-3733. Skype in to join us here on the live Saturday show. Skype username is LRN.FM. We'll go to the phones and to your calls and thoughts. James is on the line in Arizona, listening on TuneIn. Hello, James.
Yeah, right. Hello, Minister Freeman. I'm calling to ask Minister Perry a question. He seems to like to have this ugly habit of slandering me after he's done my call. So I should like to know what he said. I dehumanize people, Minister Perry. Really? How's that?
By calling them animals, by saying that they're less than full human because they do things that you don't like.
Wait, isn't it Ralph that calls people animals?
Yes, and
Ralph does that as well. But when you say that people deserve to be killed because they do things that you don't like, that is dehumanizing to them.
No, it's not. They've dehumanized their fellow human beings by murdering and slaying fellow human beings.
You've also said that civilians that happen to live in a geographic area near them deserve to die.
I never said anybody deserved to die that's innocent. I do say that.
You say that they're not innocent because they live in the area near somebody that does something that you think is absolutely horrible.
Ladies and gentlemen of the audience, this is called Heads, Darryl wins, Tails, Wit loses. He gets the first and the last word. I've never, ever suggested people that live in a certain geographical area deserve to die unless they're up to no good, as in like mass murder, which ISIS is up to. And yes, I don't feel bad, and nor should you or anybody take offense to me calling somebody that goes around chopping people's heads off that don't want to convert to their religion animals.
But what about the
anybody?
Hold on, James.
Yeah.
What about
Go
the
ahead, Darryl.
hundreds, if not thousands, of innocent women and children that are not members of ISIS that have been killed by drone strikes?
I speak for them, and I blame 100% of the blame on the people those drone strikes are aimed at. Darryl,
that's ridiculous. Thanks for the call, James. No,
I'm glad he at least said that he grieves for them this time.
But
previously, he has said that he did not think that they were innocent because they were near somebody that he thought deserved to die.
But he blames the alleged members of ISIS who are nearby these innocent people, not the people who did the drone strikes. He doesn't blame the actual person who pulled the trigger or pressed the button that drops the bomb on these people's homes.
James probably also blames ISIS for the journalist being killed by the members of the U.S. military because, oh, well, we weren't sure that that was a briefcase or a gun, and we know that there's suspected terrorists somewhere around here. Oh, we know there's some suspected terrorists somewhere around here. Let's just go ahead and bomb that building that's in the exact same location that Doctors Without Borders told us there was a hospital 2 days ago.
Well, as long as the intentions were good, the military gets a pass from a lot of people for doing a lot of damage to innocent life. Let's go to Ralph. He's in New Jersey. You're on Free Talk Live. Hello, Ralph. Ralph in New Jersey. Going once. I hear somebody there. Ralph in New Jersey going twice. All right.
Are you okay, Ralph? Do you need mouth to mouth?
Thanks for the call, you animal.
Say Obama once if you need mouth to mouth.
Ricky on the line in Pennsylvania. You're on Free Talk Live. Hello, Ricky.
Good evening, gentlemen.
Go ahead.
Before I start, I wanted to make you aware of and that I'm exercising my right under the Constitution of Pennsylvania, 1968, sections 1, 2, 3, and 7, pursuant to section 20, 25, and 26 of Article I. That's all right.
Okay, that means nothing to anyone, Ricky. So what are you trying to say?
Okay. So, Darryl, I got a question for you. Now that I've exercised my rights, I want to talk about liberty.
You've mentioned some random numbers from some documents that most people have never actually familiarized themselves with. Go ahead and make whatever point you're trying to make.
Well, when it comes to liberty, I had a question about liberty to Darryl, if I could. Can I, Darryl?
You can ask the question.
You don't have to ask if you can ask a question.
You don't have to ask if you can ask a question.
Just
you don't
ask.
have to say what the question is about. Just ask the question.
Okay. Now, in New Hampshire, you have rights, correct? You're under the Constitution of the United States of America, correct,
I have
Darryl?
rights no matter where I am on this big spinning rock going through space because I'm a human being.
And you're not under the Constitution because you didn't sign the Constitution.
There are
Right,
certainly,
you got it, brother. That's my point I'm trying to make tonight.
There are constitutions that recognize certain rights, and there's a constitution that exists here in the state of New Hampshire that recognizes certain rights.
But you're not under that either. You live in a plot of land where people believe religiously that you might be under the Constitution, but ultimately, if your name's not on that document, it is not something that you are underneath in any way, shape, or form.
Right. And even if I am, Part 1, Article 3 of the New Hampshire Constitution says that because there's no protection of my rights, any rights I supposedly surrendered is void.
Okay, now if I may add to that, Darryl. Now, you may have heard many times you have a friend in Pennsylvania from others. See, in 1968, I wanted to clarify something. See, I do have protection. You see, because Pennsylvania, from the get-go, ever since 1774, opposed the Constitution of the United States of America.
They opposed it 13 years before it was written. That's absolutely amazing.
Right. And I think you can clarify it even further. Now, the Founding Fathers, namely Jefferson and the others, they saw how the original Constitution that the Federalists did not want was a problem. They didn't want it to begin with. And then same with the Bill of Rights. So once it was no good, they opposed it.
Why did they join the Union if they opposed the Constitution?
They did not. They did not. I'll clarify that also. You see, Pennsylvania, during the Civil War, was part of the Confederacy. The reason why is because Pennsylvania has always been anti-federalist. No, hold on. Don't laugh. Now, in 1968, this can all be verified on the Internet. In 1968,
Go ahead. Hold on. So, Ricky, you're saying
I have independent sovereign immunity under the Constitution.
I think you have independent sovereign immunity just because you're a sovereign human being.
So, are you saying that the legislature of the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania did not ratify the United States Constitution on December 12th, 1787?
Now, correct. Here's exactly what happened. Now, in Pennsylvania, the legislature is in control. Basically, the legislature controls everything. Now, there are... Hold on!
We didn't even say anything!
Well, you're freaking out, Ian, because I'm trying to help with something very important.
You yelled, hold on, and no one even said anything to you.
I'm sorry. I apologize. What happened is...
You got to speed this up. What happened to...
I am speeding it up. What it comes down to is that Pennsylvania has protection. Basically, say, for example, carrying a gun, okay? Or anything like that.
Not in Philly. You can't carry a gun in Philly.
Absolutely. Actually, you can. Reason why? They never got approval from the legislature for
that's not going to stop the police from arresting you for it.
They won't arrest me.
So did they or did they not join the Union, Ricky? It's not clear from what you're saying.
Absolutely. No, they did not.
Huh. History Channel says that there was a vote of 46 to 23 to ratify the Constitution.
It's all a conspiracy, Darryl. Thanks for the call, Ricky.
That they did, in fact, join.
Well, I wish it were true that they didn't. I wish the Constitution didn't exist. I wish we could end the federal government sooner.
There are some people that claim that Delaware never actually ratified, and that the Crown of England is headquartered in Delaware or something.
They claim Texas never ratified the Constitution too, right? Aren't there people that claim that? No?
No.
I thought that was one of the Texas nationalists.
No, they're
claims.
saying that there's a clause in the ratification that allows them to exit.
Okay. 855-450 free. Meth dealing mayor in Fairfax, Virginia. Did he really trade meth for sex with a cop? Undercover cop. It's Free Talk Live. 855-450 free. Join us here.
Know that sound? That's the sound of trouble for CPAP users. Did you know that just one drop of water in your CPAP system can become a breeding ground for mold and bacteria? Breathe that stuff in and you're battling respiratory infections, allergy attacks, and more. But here's good news. SoClean.com has released the world's first and only automated CPAP cleaner and sanitizer. It's the healthier way to clean your system because it kills 99.9% of germs in minutes. For a limited time, you can try it risk-free for 30 days. Just call 1-800-951-9693. SoClean makes cleaning your CPAP a breeze. It's completely hands-free. Just pop in your mask, close the lid, and presto, your CPAP system is clean and fresh in minutes. Don't let one drop of water wreak havoc on your body. Call SoClean.com now for your risk-free trial while supplies last. 1-800-951-9693. That's 1-800-951-9693.
Do you know that good digestion is your body's first line of defense? Millions of Americans suffer from poor digestion. It shows up in the form of heartburn, acid reflux, GERD, irritable bowel syndrome, indigestion, constipation, diarrhea, and many other symptoms. Healthy digestion relies on armies of friendly bacteria. These good bugs keep bad bugs in check. Probimune, a new, uniquely developed probiotic, is scientifically proven to get to your gut and deliver the benefits of improved digestion. Probimune is an immune system booster and a digestive health enhancer. It's simple to use, and most importantly, you will feel Probimune working, soothing, and relaxing the gut. Get yours today by visiting younghealth.com or call 800-396-9024. Again, that's 800-396-9024. Use coupon code DIGEST to receive 15% off your first order.
Since time began, tyrants have taken aim at personal liberties. Now there's a movie that aims back.
The government has no more right to tell us what to put in our bodies than they have to take our guns or tell us what books we can read.
6 drug police were eaten by bears while raiding a marijuana farm.
On your knees, you dirty hippie! Jesus. On your knees! What's the problem, officer?
Today, many cops who enforce pot laws do so only because it provides them with cushy jobs, good benefits, and a chance to push people around.
I was an undercover narcotics officer. The drug war is nothing but a farce.
The Second Amendment says you got to keep you and your gat intact.
Guns and Weed, The Road to Freedom. A film by Michael W. Dean and Nima Vadati.
DVD available now at gunsandweed.com or on Amazon. That's gunsandweed.com. Makes the perfect gift. Remember, that's gunsandweed.com.
You may already know about the Free Talk Live audio-on-demand phone line at 641-793-9660. Did you know that not only can you listen to Free Talk Live via your phone, you can also leave a message and have it delivered to Free Talk Live's hosts? To leave us your thoughts, just dial 641-793-9660. That's 641-793-9660. Press 2 for Free Talk Live, and then hit 0 to leave your message.
This is your Roberts & Roberts Brokerage Daily Precious Metals Update. In early trading Thursday, gold is $4 higher at $1,362 per ounce. Silver is 10 cents lower at $20.36 per ounce. Bitcoin is trading at $575 US. Gold and silver have been quietly outperforming the stock market all this year. Perhaps it's time for you to diversify your savings. Call Roberts & Roberts Brokerage at 800-874-9760 or visit us online at rrbi.co.
You can put the Liberty Radio Network on the air in your area. Visit broadcast.lrn.fm to learn how. Broadcast.lrn.fm.
This is Free Talk Live. Live Saturday edition here. You can take control of the airwaves. Bring up whatever's on your mind at 855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-3733. Or Skype on in here. Skype username is LRN.FM. Joining you in studio, it's Ian.
And Darryl.
And had you heard the news about the challenge to Bernie Sanders from Roger Ver? Bitcoin.com founder Roger Ver has challenged Bernie Sanders to debate Adam Kokesh. Now, Adam Kokesh is a really principled, liberty-oriented guy. He may be seeking the Libertarian Party's nomination for president in the year 2020, from what I hear. Just a overall great activist. I like Adam. We've had him on the show a number of times. Anyway, Kokesh is willing to meet Bernie Sanders in any city, so Bernie can choose the venue. He can choose the moderator, the objective moderator of the debate, and it'll be a debate of socialism versus voluntarism, if it happens. But in order to persuade Bernie, Roger has offered initially $50,000. He's recently upped that offer to $250,000, which will go to the charity of Bernie's choice. And also, Adam Kokesh gets to allocate $50,000. So basically, there's $300,000 in the offering right now that's going to go to charity if Bernie agrees to the debate. Now, it has to be a 3-hour debate. They have to complete the debate in which both men have equal time, and then Roger will donate that money to the charity of Bernie and Adam's choice. Bernie, by the way, you want to learn more about this challenge, you can go to bernie.freetalklive.com. Of course, he had millions donated to his campaign, and now he can pay it forward if he chooses and help out a worthy charity for just a few hours of his time. I mean, this is no skin off of his back. If socialism was such a great idea, then he should be able to defend it for a few hours on stage. Bernie.freetalklive.com. Go there to learn about the challenges. We go back to your calls and thoughts. Let's talk to Matt. He's in Lynchburg, Virginia, listening to WLNI. Hello, Matt.
Hey, guys.
Hey.
You're going to like my call because I'm actually calling to compliment you.
Oh.
Some of the people who call in, I've listened to you quite a while. A lot of them are belligerent. A lot of them, I think, are half crazy.
Oh, yeah.
Like some of the previous callers. But you take them, and you're patient. You don't hang up right away, and you debate. And I really respect that because a lot of the big names in talk radio, I've noticed over the last few years, they're taking fewer and fewer calls. They have experts on, and it's almost like it's just propaganda. And they just love to just go on and on and on. And you guys still take the calls, and they're tough calls. And that's what we need in this country, an exchange of ideas. So I disagree with you a lot, but I really want to compliment you.
Well, thank you. You know, some nights, Saturday nights are different on Free Talk Live because we're loaded usually to the brim with phone calls on most Saturday nights. Our weeknight edition, we don't have as many radio stations on, and of those that we have on, not all of them are live, so some stations will what they call delay broadcast the show, so we're not on live in those markets, and it's a lot harder for us to generate the same amount of calls. We could talk about the same topic on Saturday night as we talked about on a Wednesday night, and we won't even get half the calls on a Wednesday. So if you ever hear Free Talk Live and we're not actually taking phone calls, it either means our phones are broken or we don't actually have any calls on hold, because this is really, to me,
or we're in a location where we are physically unable to take calls for some reason.
Fairly rare, but it has happened. So when I formed Free Talk Live back in 2002, I was a talk radio listener, and I was frustrated by what you're talking about, Matt, by the hosts who were obviously only taking calls that were friendly to them, or only taking contrary calls on an issue that they had, researched, and they knew what to expect from the caller. The calls have all been heavily screened. On most talk shows, they ask callers to get into great detail about what it is that they want to say to the host, and if the caller actually breaks from their initial, so if they tell the call screener one thing and then they get on the air and they start breaking from what they told the call screener, they'll come up with reasons to get rid of that call. So what I saw was a lot of cowardice amongst these talk show hosts, not being willing to really face any issue. And so that's why I wanted to do an open phone show.
And then there's at least one guy that is, nationally syndicated during the middle of the day that I don't know if he still does this, because I've honestly not listened to the show in a long time, but I know he used to have what he called Free Speech Friday. And he would take maybe like one call an hour.
You talking about Rush?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think they call it Open Lines Friday.
Something like that, but he would only have one or two calls the entire show.
Oh, and those people would have to wait and wait and wait just to get on for a very brief amount of time. So I like challenging calls. I like people with tough questions. I think those are the most valuable, because if all this show was preaching to the choir or having the choir on the phones, it really wouldn't be as entertaining for me. I want to do a show that's fun for me to show up every day. And, to me, talking to myself, if it were, if Darryl, you weren't here and I were by myself and, I just wanted to talk about the things I wanted to talk about, that would bore the tears out of me, because I already know what's interesting to me. I want to know what's interesting to you.
That's why you have to have that little character inside your head that you're talking
you can talk
to.
Yeah.
And then relay these conversations with yourself.
Go ahead, Matt.
Can I request a topic?
Yeah, please.
I'm very interested and have been reading up about Chicago and just what a big mess it is, and the gun violence and everything. Is there any way next weekend maybe you guys could talk about that and what your solution would be?
Well, that would require us to actually put effort into preparing for the show, which I generally don't do much of. But as far as we can talk about it right now. I mean, Chicago is one of the biggest government areas in the country. It's one of the most restrictive areas for guns and, being able to defend yourself. Like all big cities, it suffers from, a glut of government, plenty of bureaucrats, lots of, social welfare programs and taxes, even a city income tax. I believe they have that in Chicago.
Bureaucracy that prevents people from opening their own business without jumping through huge hoops and hurdles.
Sure. And the state of Illinois is also in bad shape fiscally as well.
I remember reading a story, I believe it was in the second or third edition of Healing Our World by Dr. Mary Ruwart, where she was talking about a girl in, I believe it was Chicago, had opened up a hair braiding business. And she got shut down because she did not have the beautician license.
Right.
Even though the beautician license did not have anything to do with hair braiding.
Nope.
They did not teach hair braiding in the beautician
Not
school.
the African-style hair braiding that she was doing specifically.
Right.
It was 1,000 hours or whatever of instruction that she had to go through just to,
and
jump through
none
these
of it
hoops.
had anything to do with the skill she already had.
What it has to do with...
She could not do that type of hair braiding without this license.
Right. What it has to do with is protecting the existing establishment from people who, want to just throw open their front door and let people into their home. And so all these zoning rules and business rules, which, of course, cities like Chicago have, plenty of, kills small businesses and hurt poor people.
Houston, by the way, does not have zoning.
That's true. Go ahead, Matt.
With your philosophy, how do you 370 gun deaths just this year. 370. I mean, it's almost as bad as it was in Iraq at some point. How do you stop that with your philosophy? It's not by letting people braid hair.
Are you saying that was the number in Chicago so far?
This year, yeah, 370 murders by gun.
Well,
right, and I don't want it to sound like I was saying that braiding hair will somehow stop people from being killed. I was talking about the level of bureaucracy that winds up stifling people to where they don't have any other options than to do things in the black market.
Right, sell drugs.
Which is where people wind up getting in these situations where they get shot.
True, and a lot of the people who are likely being shot or doing the shooting specifically are probably illegally carrying those guns. So allowing people to legally carry guns and other weapons to defend themselves would certainly help mitigate that. Thanks, Matt, for your call. Free Talk Live.
Worried about lead, fluoride, and other contaminants in your drinking water? Get a ProPure with the Pro 1G 2.0 cleanable reusable filter and remove up to 200 contaminants. Drink water the way nature meant it to be. Clean, crisp, and refreshing. See the complete line of ProPure products, including the new ProMax shower filter. There's a ProPure for you. Visit your authorized ProPure dealer for details or ProPureUSA.com. That's ProPureUSA.com.
Hunters, anglers, campers, and survivalists. Get back to nature. Expand your horizons with the highest quality, most versatile, unique slingshots and sling bows on the market at slingbow.com. Sling bow products are compact and models start from just $17.98. They're perfect for your bug out bag or storing in your vehicle. Give yourself and your loved ones the excitement and tradition of sling bow. A new frontier in archery and truly modern twist on this primitive survival tool. Feel the thrill only at slingbow.com.
Excuse me, is this where I get a license to start a new business?
I wouldn't be hasty. You have to get a license to go out of business, too, you know.
Oh, well, look, I've invented this little anti-gravity machine, see?
Oh, is that why you're walking 2 inches above the floor?
Oh, yes, it's very comfortable. It saves on shoe leather.
Yeah, well, you have to fill out these forms and report to the Human Services Department of Manpower Orientation and register with the Fair Employment Practice Commission, the Wage and Hour Division of the Employment Standards Administration, the State Sales and Income Tax Division, the Internal Revenue Service, and the Social Security Administration of the Department of Health, Education, and Welfare, and, of course, OSHA.
OSHA? I thought that was a little town in Wisconsin.
You'll find out. Say, floating around like that could be dangerous. Have you checked with the Consumer Product Safety Commission?
Well, not yet.
Come to think of it, you actually are flying, aren't you? Look, you need to go over to the Federal Aviation Administration and the Transportation...
It's very hard to get anything done these days if you're in business, but free enterprise built this country. Think what could happen if we don't keep it free. A public service of this station and the Center for the Defense of Free Enterprise, Bellevue, Washington.
We just can't have people floating about unregulated, you know.
For Bitcoin to be ubiquitous, people need to use it. For people to use it, they must have it. How can we get Bitcoin into more hands? Tipping. What if you could include a bonus Bitcoin tip along with your regular tip to a server? What if that Bitcoin tip returned to you if unclaimed after 30 days? An attractive business card Bitcoin tip that's easily claimed, gives instructions on wallets and spending, and returns to the tipper if unused. Tip.freetalklive.com. Tip.freetalklive.com.
Free Talk Live has partnered with Amazon, the largest internet retailer. Imagine a department store category, and Amazon has it. Books, electronics, office products, furniture, jewelry, automotive, toys, clothing, sporting goods, and dozens of other categories. Now you can shop and support Free Talk Live by entering Amazon through our website. Go to shop.freetalklive.com, and Amazon will send us a portion of your purchase. You're going to do the shopping anyway, so remember to enter through our site at shop.freetalklive.com. That's shop.freetalklive.com. Why did you move to the Shire?
I moved here to the Shire because there's other people around who take liberty just as seriously as I do.
I moved to the Shire because I saw videos of people challenging authority and thought that I could get support myself. It called to me, like, do this right now.
I wanted to be around people like me who got it, and once I got here, I knew there was nowhere else that I wanted to be.
I've always wanted to change the world, so I moved to the Shire to join people who were actually working towards doing the same thing.
The people here are awesome, loving, and positive. It was for the adventure and for the feeling of something important is happening here, and I just wanted to come to sort of be part of that.
Visit ShireSociety.com to read and sign the Shire Society Declaration and learn the reasons why, if you love liberty, you should immigrate to the Shire. Plus, add yourself to the Shire map at ShireSociety.com. That's ShireSociety.com.
You can connect with the Liberty Radio Network via our Facebook page at facebook.lrn.fm. That's facebook.lrn.fm.
It's Free Talk Live, and we invite you to join us on the radio waves here. Toll-free number 855-450-FREE. We're doing the live Saturday edition of the program with you in studio. It's Ian.
And Darryl.
We've got an audio-on-demand listen line. It's fairly new. We've had listen lines for a while, but it's always just been a live stream of either LRN.FM or the latest episode of Free Talk Live looped over and over until we're live. And we still have those listen lines, but this new one actually allows you to listen to not just LRN.FM's live stream, but also close to a dozen of the great original shows that come from LRN.FM originally, most of them, with the exception of Freedom Fiends, but we used to have them as an original show. 641-793-9660 is the number. It is a long-distance number, but almost no one pays for long distance these days in the United States, at least. If you've got pretty much any cell phone plan, it's likely unlimited long distance. That means this call is free for most people that can hear my voice right now. The number again, 641-793-9660. You can listen on your schedule on any phone, and you don't have to pay anything from your data plan to do this because it's just a regular phone call. You choose from the menu which show you want to listen to, or just listen to the LRN live stream. And you can actually leave us feedback. You can leave us a message. We actually have like 2 or 3 messages built up that at some point, probably not tonight because we're loaded with phone calls, but at some point we'll play some of these messages, maybe tomorrow or the next day, whenever we get a chance. We'll play some of your messages on the air. So if you want to leave us feedback, you can do that from this audio on-demand listen line, which is 641-793-9660. Basically, to leave the feedback, you select number 2 from the main menu. That'll get you Free Talk Live's playback, and then you press 0 at any time when you feel so inspired and you want to leave us that message. It'll be delivered to our email boxes. So once again, the audio on-demand listen line, 641-793-9660. To the phone, we got Scott. He's in Indiana listening to WIBC. Hello, Scott.
Hello again. I was just calling. I heard you earlier, and I was just trying to figure out, you were talking about how did you actually say that you wish we didn't even have a Constitution drafted in, I'm getting the year wrong, 1896, right? But, no, 1786. But I was just curious, is that really what you said? I wanted to get that out just to be sure.
I don't know if I said that.
I don't think either one of us said that.
I said I didn't sign it, so I don't consider it to be applicable to me. Obviously, the government people don't think it's applicable to them because they have sworn an oath to it, and they ignore that oath, and they violate the Constitution left and right. So essentially, I mean, it's nothing more than something that politicians and judges pay lip service to, really, rather than anything else. What I did say is that I don't think the United States should exist, and I would like to see states secede from the United States.
And I will quote Lysander Spooner, who in the 1860s said the Constitution has either authorized such tyranny as we have or has been powerless to prevent it. In either case, it's unfit to exist.
Still true today.
Yes.
Okay, well, that answers pretty much the other question, which that's what I was about to ask, if you consider yourself one of these sovereign citizen types. But
no.
It sounds as if you're well beyond sovereign citizen. You're well beyond that. You're to basically to just run around and you don't even like the United States at all. So I just want to get that out there for anybody who's
Yeah, I love freedom. I love liberty.
You're a total dead-ender. I mean,
yeah, I just like to clarify. I love freedom and I love liberty, but I don't like being told what to do.
You're both talking at the same time. I can't understand either one of you.
Scott, I'm saying I love liberty, I love freedom, but I don't love a big government oppressing people, and that's what the United States government is.
Well, I agree the government is oppressive too much. That's part of keeping it in check. That was what the Constitution was supposed to be.
How'd that work out?
That's the fault of the Constitution. That's the fault of the government, and that's the fault of the people for not keeping the people in the government in check.
Well, what are the people supposed to do about that?
Let's just get this out there. I mean, you already said it. You don't like the United States. You wish there never had been a United States. You wish there had never been a Constitution.
I didn't say I wish there never had been a United States.
Come on,
you're putting words in my mouth.
You've got your Guy Fawkes mask on, and you're running around saying, be for vendetta and all that. I mean, that's really what you're all about. I mean, just want to get that out there because
I've actually never worn a Guy Fawkes mask.
I have worn a Guy Fawkes mask, and I actually own several of them.
You make a lot of sense a lot of times, but I just want to get that out there. When you say you don't like the United States as founded, just to make sure everybody understands.
Well, now let me
just
clarify
how
something, Scott. I like the ideas.
How crazy you really are, just to get that out there. Because
Okay,
you really
well, now you've said that a bunch of times, and I'd like to clarify it because you keep putting words in my mouth. I like the ideas that hold on. I like some of the ideas that founded the United States. The idea of secession. I like that one. Getting away from an oppressive king. I like that idea. But unfortunately, things didn't work out. Now you blamed the people for it a moment ago, but I'd like to ask you, what are people supposed to do about malfeasance from their government so-called representatives?
That's what elections are for.
Are you telling me that there's actually a choice in the election in 2016 at the national level?
Well, if you're so smart, Ian, why don't you run?
Oh, actually, I am running. As a matter of fact, I'm running for a governor here in the state of New Hampshire.
I'm sure that you'll have a promising career as garbage collector of the year. But
huh? Well, first of all, you asked me why I don't run, and I pointed out that I do, so you're wrong about that.
But secondly, garbage collection.
The rest of the libertarians who, really pretty much what you're all about is like, we're really going to get a percentage this year. We're not going to win, but we're going to get a higher percentage of this year. But we really accomplished something this time.
So what's the point of running for office? I do it to get a message out. I do it to get the word of freedom out to people so they can understand it and they can, really consider it.
I've got news for you, Ian. When you talk about not liking the United States as founded and disliking that there had ever been a constitution.
No, I didn't say that. You're putting words in my mouth again, and it's not fair. It's not fair. All right, I'm going to just go ahead and end this call because you keep putting words in my mouth, and it's just not fair. I didn't say I had a problem with the idea of the Constitution. In theory, it should have been a good idea. Like, hey, let's bind this terrible government idea down with these chains of this Constitution and keep it small, keep it respectable, blah, blah, blah. Well, it didn't work out. And it doesn't matter what words are written on the piece of paper. It turns out men with power are going to do whatever it is that they want to do. So, yeah, do I wish it never happened? No. I think it was probably a step in the right direction for that time, for the people who were there in that time. That was their best understanding of where to go from where they were coming from, which was the rule of the king.
Right, and Thomas Jefferson had even said, he's, by the way, one of the guys that was involved in the whole, founding of the country thing, and he said that he believes that every generation should have a revolution. So he did not even think that, this Constitution thing should exist for the next 200 years. He thought maybe in like 30 or 40 years, let's try this thing over again and come up with better ideas.
Yeah, try something new. And that's all we're talking about here is, hey, this experiment has failed, okay? The claim that, that's what elections are for. Talk about somebody who's not paying attention. I mean, come on. The choice between Hillary Clinton and Donald Trump, and I'm sorry, the Libertarians and the Greens are not much of a better choice, barely. They're a better choice. This Libertarian candidate isn't even really a Libertarian. But, to even believe that you could change the federal government anyway, even if a Libertarian did win.
Most of the people that talk about, just vote them out, they're talking about the members of Congress. They're talking about the 435 men and women in the House of Representatives and the 100 men and women in the U.S. Senate. All right, so let's look at those elections for just a bit, and you'll see that over 90% of the people running for re-election in the U.S. House of Representatives wind up getting re-elected.
Despite the fact that the people are generally against, the job satisfaction rating with the House is
9-10%.
It's sometimes lower than 9%. I thought I saw one recently was like 5%.
Wow, I'm not saying it that low. But again, let's look at the elections and you'll see that the vast majority of seats are safe districts, meaning that whoever is in that seat is going to return to that seat again next year.
Almost a guarantee.
And if it's not that person, it's somebody from their party. There's, about 24 seats that are really swing seats. And in those, again, it's very likely that whoever is the incumbent is getting reelected just because they've got the name recognition.
That's true, but even the person who's against the incumbent is likely a bad person too, because the positions of power attract
It's the illusion
corrupt.
of choice.
These positions of power attract corrupt people or corruptible people. Usually they're already corrupted. It attracts them, and so you don't actually get a choice between good and evil. It's between evil and evil. That's not a solution for freedom in our lifetime. It's Free Talk Live. More coming up.
Every once in a while, you get information that's worth changing your life for. This is one such time. You can save up to and beyond 25% on all purchases at Amazon. You probably heard of Bitcoin and just not thought much about it. You certainly know that you can get competitive pricing at Amazon, but now you can get a 25% discount on nearly everything you need to live. I've just given you a huge raise, and all you have to do is claim it. You go to saveitpurse.com and open an account. Do this right now. Don't wait. Then you fund the account with Bitcoin. You can buy them through expresscoin.com with a check or money order. There are other ways to get Bitcoin, but that's fast, safe, and easy. This information is worth you changing the way you do things. Go to saveitpurse.com right now, get signed up, and cash in on the huge raise I'm offering you. 15 to 25% off of everything at Amazon through saveitpurse.com. It's saveatpurse.com.
Paid non-attorney spokesperson. Injury Help Desk is responsible for this advertisement. Principal office, Las Vegas, Nevada. This ad is not legal advice, and the choice of a lawyer should not be based solely upon advertisement. Services may not be available in all states.
Attention prescription antibiotic drug users. Have you or a loved one suffered an aortic dissection, aortic aneurysm, or abdominal aortic aneurysm after taking the prescription antibiotic drugs Levaquin or Avelox? These popular antibiotic drugs have been prescribed more than 80 million times since 2004, and medical studies show an increased risk of the following injuries: aortic dissection, aortic aneurysm, and abdominal aortic aneurysm. If you or a loved one used the prescription antibiotic drugs Levaquin or Avelox and suffered from aortic dissection, aortic aneurysm, or abdominal aortic aneurysm, you may be entitled to substantial financial compensation. Act now. Time is limited to file a claim. You may be entitled to substantial financial compensation. For a free consultation and free information, call Injury Help Desk at 800-823-3851. 800-823-3851. 800-823-3851.
So the protection of life, liberty, and property is what the Free State Project is all about. But it's an effort to move 20,000 people who understand.
It's about demonstrating to the entire country
that, yeah, we can have a free market, a truly free market.
Making it just a freer, great place to live.
It's the world's largest voluntarist libertarian community, and it's only getting bigger.
That's amazing, to be able to move to a place where other people passionately believe in being free and independent.
What the Free State Project is managing to do, though, is to put their money where their mouth is. Physically getting up across the country and saying, let's go someplace and let's demonstrate the power of these ideas. There's a lot of kind of philosophy that surrounds liberty. There's a lot of thinking about it and talking about it. But here in New Hampshire, people are doing it.
101 Reasons Liberty Lives in New Hampshire, a documentary by Free State Project Early Movers. Watch it free at 101reasonsfilm.com. 101reasonsfilm.com.
The three most important things you can do for Free Talk Live are: 1, share one episode a week on Facebook or in some other social networking site. 2, buy the things you buy online through shop.freetalklive.com. 3, give $5 a month to the AMP program. It's my firm belief that Free Talk Live's AMP program is the best use of your charitable dollar among liberty-oriented organizations. Support all the organizations you love, but make sure you give $5 a month to AMP at amp.freetalklive.com. We've all heard about blockchain assets like Dogecoin, Ether, and Ripple. Bitcoin isn't the only player in the blockchain game any longer. And for those of us wondering how to get our hands on these digital assets, finally, there's a solution. Shapeshift.io allows you to buy and sell between your digital assets and Bitcoin instantly between your own digital wallets. I've used it with ease. Shapeshift.io. There's no account or email address needed. You send them the crypto you want to sell. They send back the crypto you want to buy. It's that easy. Shapeshift.io.
While our satellite channel is free to listen to, it's not free for us. You can help us cover our satellite costs with the chip-in on the right side of the page at lrn.fm.
It's Free Talk Live, and we've got just enough time to get you in here if you're on our lines right now. If you're not getting in tonight, well, don't worry. You can still call us tomorrow. We've got the live Sunday edition. Then we're live 7 nights a week here on Free Talk Live. If you've missed a moment of the show, of course, you can always go and download episodes at your leisure over at freetalklive.com. We've got ways for you to support Free Talk Live. You can become an amplifier at amp.freetalklive.com. It's $5 a month. You can use any major credit card through PayPal, use Visa or MasterCard right there on our website. $5 a month helps us market Free Talk Live. You just got a new station on board, Darryl. You've been doing affiliate relations calls for, what, 2 years now? For 3 years?
Almost 3.
3? Wow, time flies. You brought on a new station in Farmington, New Mexico. We'll be welcoming them officially tomorrow night for the first time because they're a Sunday show affiliate. And that's something that was made possible by the Free Talk Live amplifiers for $5 a month, helping us reach out to new radio stations and get the ideas of freedom and liberty on as many stations as possible. We've got over 170 stations right now. We could have more than that. It just takes money and it takes resources and effort. And that's what the AMP program is designed to do, is to help us advertise, market, and promote Free Talk Live to get the ideas of freedom out there as far and as wide as possible. And really, we're able to do it pretty effectively for very, very little money. So you get perks like access to the AMP-only call-in lines, the AMP-only forum, which actually AMP-only Facebook group is what it is. Not like the old school forum used to be. It's a Facebook group now. And then also some other perks. So get the details, get signed up, go to amp.freetalklive.com. As we go to your phone calls and thoughts, David is in Washington State. You're on Free Talk Live. Hello, David.
Hello?
Hey, you're on the air.
Hey, buddy. I was just calling to talk about that Constitution you were talking about. You don't think we need a Constitution?
Why would I need a Constitution?
Because wouldn't there just be like civil unrest or anarchy across America? People shooting each other, killing each other all over.
You think the Constitution stops people from killing one another?
Yeah, I'm right. You got it in the Bill of Rights.
So hold on. So the only reason you don't go around shooting people on a daily basis is because there's a Constitution?
No.
Okay, then why do you think the Constitution prevents people from killing one another when murder is not even mentioned in the Constitution?
Okay, you got me there. I don't know. I just think if you don't have a Constitution, then wouldn't it be? You don't think people would just go crazy and shit around everywhere?
Did he just?
I think he just did drop a word.
Okay,
that
we got to let you go. I'm sorry, David.
Radio.
You're not supposed to say the S word there. All right, so the suggestion from David is that the Constitution is the reason why things are as peaceful as they are here in the United States. But what about this? Now, look, I'm not saying that, the idea of outlining rights is a bad idea. I like the idea of, hey, if you're going to have a government, it should respect these rights, which is what the Bill of Rights is, all about. I'm fine with that. I like that idea. The New Hampshire Constitution has a Bill of Rights. It's very good. But unfortunately, they ignore those rights whenever they darn well please. So what good is it? It's, again, it's nothing more than a talking point or something that a politician can sort of pander towards. But let's look at New Zealand, because New Zealand has no constitution.
Right.
And it frequently actually ranks higher than the United States by several positions on the economic freedoms of the world. There's a couple of different rankings out there. The Heritage Institute, the Fraser Institute, put together yearly rankings of all the countries in the world that they can possibly rate based on data.
And then there's also the Human Freedom Index that's put out by the Fraser Institute in conjunction with several other entities. And New Zealand consistently ranks
higher than the U.S.?
Number 1 or 2.
Yeah.
And I actually went through, because I hear people all the time talk about, well, it's a constitutional republic, and that means that rights are respected. So I went through and I looked to see if there's some kind of correlation between type of government and whether or not there's a written constitution and where they rank on this Human Freedom Index.
Okay.
Half of the countries in the top 10 do not have a written constitution and are monarchies.
It's interesting.
Yes.
So is it just a crapshoot or what?
It's a crapshoot. North Korea is technically a constitutional republic.
Right, the People's Republic.
And they're the most repressive regime in the world.
Yes, ostensibly. We don't get much data out of North Korea, although Venezuela seems to be declining fairly quickly.
And they also have a constitution and are a republic.
So I think New Zealand's probably the best example. Now, the big scare is, well,
New Zealand, Australia, Canada.
Australia doesn't have a constitution?
None of the things that fall under the realm of the UK have a written constitution.
The idea being that, well, if any new political power gets in charge of New Zealand, because there's no constitution, they can just do whatever it is that they want to. And, well,
that's actually not true, because while there's not a written constitution that they can look and say, Article 3, Section blah, 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 there is common law that governs all of these. Plus, there's the Magna Carta, and there's, like various things here and there.
But still,
that
in theory,
are accepted as being part of the unwritten constitution.
I see what you're saying. But in theory, they should have more latitude to do things differently than a country with a constitution supposedly tying it down. But yet, for decades now, or at least for the last couple decades, New Zealand's been pretty high up on those charts and has been better in the last decade plus than the United States. So that suggests to me that whether or not there's a constitution doesn't really matter in the scheme of things. Again, I love the idea of human rights. I support the idea of human rights and respecting human rights. Unfortunately, constitutions don't seem to do a whole lot to actually respect human rights.
Right, and one of the things that I find to kind of be funny is it was the Federalists, the ones that supported the creation of the Constitution, that opposed the idea of adding a Bill of Rights to the Constitution, because the argument was, well, we don't need that, because if we start writing down things that we recognize as rights, then at some point people might think that those are the only rights that they have.
Let's go to Brandon. He's in Wisconsin listening to WXXM in Madison. Hey, Brandon.
Hey, what's going on?
We're doing a radio show. Go ahead with your thoughts.
Hey, a little bit ago you had a guy call in kind of just rambling on about Pennsylvania and whatnot.
Yes, that's what he does.
He said that Pennsylvania joined the Civil War on the side of the Confederacy.
That was his claim, yes.
And if you know anything about the Civil War, you just know that that's blatantly not true.
Yes.
So that was just kind of my first point. My second point was, or my question was, what's going on with this governor in Virginia?
Oh, good question. We actually never.
It's actually not the governor. No, it's the mayor of Fairfax.
Yeah. My bad. Sorry.
I'm glad you finally got to this, because we teased it all night and we never got to it just because we were loaded with phone calls. Anyway, his name's Richard Silverthorne. He's 50. He was arrested this week at the Crown Plaza Hotel. He says, obviously, that, he believes that he's not guilty. He's going to trial, it sounds like. He says, quote, "I ask that you allow the process to proceed before rushing to judgment. Police in late July received a tip that Silverthorne may have been trading meth for sex on a website used to arrange casual sexual encounters between men. An undercover detective created a profile on the site, and Silverthorne, sure enough, contacted him within a few days, according to police. He told the detective he could provide meth in exchange for sexual encounters. The detective agreed to meet with Silverthorne, who agreed to bring other men to the engagement. Police said Silverthorne brought meth to the Chainbridge Road Hotel on Thursday. He was arrested and charged with felony possession of methamphetamine and misdemeanor or possession of drug, or a misdemeanor rather, and possession of drug paraphernalia.
One thing that I find humorous is the quote from the captain of the police, who says, "The plan was to keep him outside because we did not want to engage in the activities he wanted to engage in."
Yeah, so apparently he's been reelected, by the way. This is his third term as mayor. And
well, he did get last elected 4 years ago, so it wasn't like he got reelected after being arrested.
And it looks like police claim they've arrested his suppliers, or his alleged suppliers, Juan Fernandez and Costin McLaughlin, which makes me wonder if the mayor rolled over on his dealer.
McLaughlin was charged with obstruction.
Mm-hmm.
And Fernandez...
felony distribution of methamphetamine.
Yeah, had distribution.
So, yeah, there you go, Brandon. Your thoughts?
Well, I mean, my first thought is come on, man. If you're going to do that, at least do it better. I mean, maybe that's just a generational thing. I'm a little bit younger than he is, probably, but...
You mean not make a deal for trading meth for sex on a unencrypted chat line or website?
Yeah, just on a public website or whatever, but... You said that he might have rolled over on his dealer. I guarantee you he rolled as fast as he could just to get as far away from this as he could.
Either that or the dealer showed up because they were wanting to have group sex, according to the news report that I'm seeing.
Yeah, I think it's an interesting story because it should be legal what this guy did. I mean, if we had our way and we actually had freedom, then, well, first there'd be no mayors, but further, if somebody wanted to trade meth for sex, that's a completely consensual activity and should be completely allowed. Brandon, unfortunately, we're out of time for tonight, but thanks for calling and asking about that. We'll see you tomorrow night online. In the meantime, freetalklive.com.
Are you making sense to the boomer mindset? I'm Holland Cook from survivalspeech.com. 80 million baby boomers comprise 25% of the population and control most of the USA's wealth. As aging parents pass on, they'll control more. Boomers are 46 to 65 years old and regard themselves as midlife. They identify as neither young nor old. They're post-minivan and pre-retirement, and they don't like being called boomers. They think me. Many of the purchases boomer couples make are individual purposes. They've been experimenters all their lives. If you want their attention, tell stories and keep